Hello everyone! We are back again with more Great Ace Attorney number 2. And we're right in the middle of a cross-examination, and I probably should have brushed up on what's going on in this case, because I haven't played in a while. It's been since, when, Thursday? And now it's Sunday, but yeah. We're cross-examining this guy. I think it's this guy, just to let you all know. I think this guy's the murderer person. I just have that feeling. Can't believe the Swan Lady's dead, by the way. Is her swan okay? I don't know, hopefully. But yeah, let's get through this. Let me get my phone all nice and loaded. Oh boy. Okay, hopefully everything's fine now. There's a girl so pompous English from her arguing that I got my goat. So this person's confessing to having murderous intent, right? Yeah, so...
Hold it!
Yeah. Hold it! And there's Susato right there. What exactly were they arguing about? About what happened in that restaurant 9 months ago, that's what! And the student girl was laying into the Englishwoman for killing her beloved mentor, Dr. Wilson. Yes, John H. Wilson. A professor of medicine invited here from England by Professor Mikatoba, no less. Right, but the Englishwoman just jeered. Her case was to be heard by the British Consular Court in Shanghai. However, hello, Minim. Yes, the game is back. How you doing today? It's good to see ya. There is little doubt that she would simply have been acquitted and sent back to her homeland, a free woman. It was eating that student girl up inside. You could see it. I really felt for her. Oh. Who did the hold it? Her. I can't stand here and listen to this tripe. Ray, young girl, you stand accused here. You can't just blurt out whenever you feel like it. No, you can't. Sorry, but I'm in the middle of some very important testimony here. Just keep quiet and listen. How's your day been today, Minim? Do anything good or epic? Happy to be here. How are you? I'm good. Ready for this game. Ready for more of this games. But this awful man is making all of this up. Susato, please, you have to make them listen. Return to the dock at once, Manbami-san. We are in the middle of a cross-examination. Your Excellency, please, I implore you. That journalist is clearly not a trustworthy witness. Exactly. He's a filthy, rotten, black-hearted, bigoted, dirty, great peeping Tom. Whoa, take it easy there. Please, I really think the court should hear what the defendant has to say. Your Excellency, I see no need whatsoever to entertain the accused's remarks. Very ready, you have nothing to do tomorrow, so you can watch this. Nice! Epic! I will grant the request of the defense. But, Your Excellency... This is likely to be the final cross-examination of these proceedings. As such, I believe it would be ill-advised to stifle the defendant's obvious concerns. So, whilst recognizing that this contravenes regular protocol, I hereby call the defendant to speak. Oh! Thank you so much, Your Excellency. Hey, Captain Chips, what's up? Welcome to this game. How was your May the 4th day? Did you do anything Star Warsy? Like in the slightest? It was nothing to do with Dr. Wilson. We were discussing the stolen poison.
Hold it!
Stolen poison that killed the victim, you mean? I suspected her of being the one to steal it. I mean, just think about how she killed Dr. Wilson. That's true. Additionally, Miss Brett certainly had knowledge of the new poison. Just sent your dad a happy birthday while he and your mom are on vacay. Nice. That's epic. I would have played more of my random Star Wars game, but me and my friend were over and we kind of got ahead of ourselves. We lost track of time. We played a lot of this game right here. Like a lot of a lot of this game. We started at 3 and before we knew it, it was 7. Well, surely it would be no easy task to steal a highly secret toxin being developed for the government? Indeed, all visitors into the laboratory are thoroughly searched when they leave. Totally forgot that this morning. How'd Fallen Order go? Pretty good, actually. The evade button is Z, but I switched it to a better key binding. But I'm surviving. I'm surviving the game good. I beat one of those big things. Those frog things, like, at the end of my stream, pretty much. But it's good, and it looks good, too. Even if a thief managed to avoid being seen by myself or a colleague, getting the poison out would be very difficult. That's true. I pestered Professor Mikotoba until he agreed to show me the poison when I visited his laboratory, but as I left, I was searched from top to tail. Miss Brett rather bluntly revealed the existence of the toxin we'd been developing, you see. And since Soseki-san expressed such an interest in it, I felt unable to refuse. Enjoy your first Souls game? Oh dear. Technically my first Souls game was Hogwarts Legacy, but we'll try our first real Souls. Oh no, after Hogwarts was Nobeta, Little Witch Nobeta. So this is gonna be the third one. I felt unable to refuse. Technically your first Souls game was Tunic? Yeah. I'll try not to think about that one. Legend of Zelda, Legend of Dark Souls. Obviously, I gave nothing away, other than the fact that it was an extremely potent substance. I'm very ashamed of myself. It's just that I've had a singular terrible experience with the deadly poison. Wanted to look my old enemy in the eye, surely you can understand that. To find out if my suspicions were true, I confronted Miss Brett about the poison. I told her that if there were to be an incident involving it somehow, it wouldn't be just the university. The military would be dragged into it. The whole government even. It would be complete disaster. And how did Miss Brett respond to your concerns? She just curled those beautiful lips of hers and said she didn't know the first thing about it. In English, actually. Ah, yes. Many Memo-san. One small question, if you don't mind. I do mind. Can't you see I'm busy? Clearly you were outside the beach hut listening in whilst the defendant and Miss Brett were conversing. Presumably, then, it was you who wrote this article about what you heard. Exclusive. Deadly poison stolen from Yume Medical Research Laboratory. The story was published in this morning's edition of Shoyu News. The details are too accurate for it to have been written by anyone else. Sorry. Didn't know what you're talking about. Yes, look at this. The entire article. It's almost what I said to Miss Brett, word for word. Ugh. Well, Mini Memo-san? As a journo, and as a citizen of a free country, I don't have to reveal my sources. That's the founding principle of Mini Memoism. Arthur's clearly right about this. That reporter did write in that article, and he based it on what he overheard from outside the hut. So that's what it was all about. You were trying to cover up the fact that you were listening in. That's why you came up with that stinking story about me arguing with her. Shut up. My stories never stink. Look, whatever you say, little girl, it doesn't alter the facts. Your Excellency, there is something I want to say, and I want it to go on record. Very well, you may amend your formal testimony. Much perjury in this game? Yeah, much perjury, much a lot of things.
Hold it!
Bang. Perhaps you doubted the efficiency of the poison and sought to make sure your victim would die. That's horse dung. What? That would be like pouring pepper on your Chinese ramen before you even tasted it. Completely reckless. Although, it might surprise you to learn that I am a bit of an impetuous pepper pourer as it happens. Once the victim had taken the poison, she would have been only minutes away from death. And yet, this man then proceeded to stab her in the back as well. Had to have been a good reason for that. If it was the reporter who gave the poison to Miss Brett, then clearly, he must have done it prior to Ray entering the hut. Yes, that's understandable. Between him leaving the hut and the victim being stabbed, there was one very crucial change in the situation. Sorry? What change? The reporter overheard the conversation between Ray and the Englishwoman. Ah, yes, that's it. That's when Minnie Menmo-san first found out the exact nature of the poison he'd use. That could be the key here. If the victim was unwillingly taking the poison already, reporter would have had no reason to stab her. On the face of it, the logic sounds entirely reasonable, but there's no question that this man was responsible for Miss Brett's murder. We could think of a plausible explanation as to why he might have stabbed her even after the poisoning. I feel sure that everything would drop into place. That's what we should be looking for. Yes, I agree, and in order to do that I must try to glean more information. Captain Chips, I might need to ask you to get the, guide out. Because we'll confess, I do not know even what I is even. Stars over Hyrule, what's up? There was poison in the pen.
Objection!
Nope. Objection! How you doing today, Stars? It's, good to see you here. But don't, like, say the answer, say clues. Like, is it on this statement, a previous statement, the previous statement? Like that kind of thing. Maybe the knife?
Objection!
Nope. What about the witness's last statement there? Well, nope. Yeah, this is the part where I just present random things, because I have no idea. I do not remember all that much. The plan, maybe? Like, I don't know what the person's even asking me right now. Chemical?
Objection!
Nope. This statement is right. The poison article was updated, right? Yes. I guess that means poison article, huh?
Objection!
Yep. Well, I can think of one reason. What? But before I explain, I'd like you to confirm something for the court. Did you glean all the information from this newspaper article from what you overheard outside the hut? Of course you did. There can be no question of that. After all, when we were in the laboratory together, all we were told is that it was a terrible toxin. And there is one important fact to consider. According to the witness, Membami-san's verbal attack against the victim began as soon as she entered the hut. The job of the hut. I mean, in other words, it would have been impossible for her to have slipped the poison into Miss Brett's drink.
Objection!
Where are you going with this, counsel? Many Memo-san has made it quite clear that he observed every single thing that happened in the beach hut. If the defendant had somehow found an opportunity, this man would have seen it. Arrgh! Which means that Miss Brett couldn't have imbibed the poison whilst the defendant was present. In fact, it must have been administered to her before Membami-san entered the hut. Yes, very articulately put. When I walked into the hut, I immediately started to press Miss Brett about the poison. At which point, Minnie Memo-san overheard some worrying information. Worrying information? What worrying information? The information which he subsequently included in his newspaper article, namely, that the poison was being developed in strict secrecy and that it couldn't be readily obtained. Absolutely. In fact, that's quite an understatement. The only possible place it could come from is my lab. And furthermore, anyone afflicted by the poison would exhibit telltale signs of death. The extreme constriction of the pupils, yes, it's quite stark when you see it. There are other poisons that show similar symptoms, but not among new substances that are undetectable. In other words, it would be clear that the victim's life had been ended by the use of this particular poison, which would reduce the number of suspects to only a handful of people. Ah! Everyone in my laboratory is aware of the unique properties of the toxin we've been developing. None of them would be foolish enough to attempt to use for some nefarious deed. Membamisa being no exception. Therefore, we can conclude that whoever administered this unique poison to a victim was a layperson unaware of its telltale properties. In other words, someone like you. Write in many memo. Gag! It was you who stole the poison from the laboratory that day, and it was you who administered it to the unwitting victim, but you quickly realized that was a terrible mistake, because the poison caused such unusual symptoms and was so traceable. Are you listening in from the far side of the bench's hut thin walls? As you listen from the far side of the beach hut's thin walls, you learnt of these facts. But you're already giving the victim the poison at the point it was too late, so you hatched a plan to disguise your mistake. A plan that involves stabbing the victim in the back through the reed screen.
Objection!
But what good could that possibly do? Isn't it obvious, Counsel? The plan was to kill Miss Brett before the poison could take effect. Once in the blood, the poison causes the onset of pupil constriction, but he had hoped to precipitate the victim's death before that happened, hadn't he? Exactly. Because without any revealing signs of the new secret poison's use, no one would ever have suspected. This is extraordinary. Yes, the effects of the poison meant it would be too easily identified, so the killer had to mask its use, and he attempted to do so by plunging the knife into the middle of the victim's back. Order. The argument presented is sound. The court is satisfied that it warrants consideration. Does the prosecution have a counter-argument it wishes to put forward? Well, there are a number of... yes, I counter completely.
Objection!
The prosecution's evasive response clearly shows, in much the same way as he nurtures the remnants of his topknot, he is clinging to lost hope. Lost hope? Lost hope? All the Star Wars references today, guys. Of course, there's a hold it. Oh. Arg, you pathetic, useless fallen samurai. Fallen? Who are you calling fallen? My burgeoning growth is... I don't need a counter-argument. What? What are you talking about? It should be blatantly obvious. This guy's face reminds me of that one gym teacher from Persona 5, by the way. Doesn't it, kind of? I stole the poison, you say. Gave it to the victim, you say. Stabbed her, you say. Lots of fine theories. But I don't need a counter-argument because you don't have an argument yourself. Where's your evidence? Yes, you make it all sound so plausible, don't you? But without evidence, it means nothing. Whereas I base my news on facts. Facts? What do you mean? Explain yourself. I mean, what the professor said earlier in this trial. It's all here in many memos, every word, every slip of the tongue, all noted. That's what the Shoyu News is famous for. It's the power of the printed word. But surely it would be no easy task to steal a highly secret toxin being developed from the government. Indeed, all visitors to the laboratory are thoroughly searched when they leave. Even if a thief managed to avoid being seen by myself or a colleague, getting the poison out would be very difficult. How's that then? Blown the story wide open? See, I write in many memo, a mere reporter from the Shoyu News. Can it possibly have stolen that poison from the professor's laboratory? Ag! But there can't be any question of it. He must have stolen the poison that day. He stole it and used it to kill. And if that's the case, as you've identified, the poison itself is the definitive evidence we need. Because whoever stole it from the laboratory that day is the true culprit here. What's your point, you annoying handsome country bumpkin? My point is this. There is one way that you, Mini Memo-san, could have stolen the poison that day. I have heard enough verbal conjecture now, thank you. What the court must be shown is evidence. What proof do you have that this witness stole the poison on the day in question? I think I know what it is. I think it's finally time to do this.
Take that!
The proof, Your Excellency, is this fountain pen. Ugh, a fountain pen? How can that possibly be relevant? These magical pens somehow seem to have enough ink to write many thousands of kanji characters. You know what this one is without looking at it? Were you right? Oh, likely ban evaders in chat. Rebellious Rebel. Another Star Wars reference. Another, thing in my chat room. I believe they arrived in our country for the first time some 15 years ago now. Bah, I swear by a weasel hair calligraphy brush and nothing else. These newfangled pens are merely a fad. Well, as a forward-thinking man of words, obviously I love my fountain pen. Suck up a soup-can of sumptuous ink and one's work is awash with words in the blink of an eye. That's right. Fountain pens have a small reservoir in the barrel, into which ink is sucked up through the nib of the pen in order to write with later. What does all this talk of sucking up ink have? Ah! And just as it's possible to suck up ink into the reservoir, it's also possible to eject it through the nib again, of course. My word. Can this really be? Well, Mini Memo-san. When you saw the deadly poison before your eyes in the laboratory that day, you used your fountain pen, your very lifeblood, to steal some of it, didn't you? By siphoning the poison up through the nib and into the pen's reservoir. Garg!
Objection!
More absurdity. That never happened. True, we've heard that there were procedures in place to prevent thefts like this from the laboratory. Would anyone have thought to look inside a fountain pen, of all places? No, I'm a little ashamed to say that for fear of offending our guests, such a detailed search would not have been conducted. Well, this is quite startling, I must say. I remind the court that this pen was found in the clutches of the victim when she died. In other words, it was dropped at the scene by Mini Memo-san. So the crucial question is, when exactly was the pen dropped? Are you suggesting? That natural conclusion is that in your haste to act whilst the victim was distracted for a moment. Are you liking the music stars? Or what's going on? You dropped the pen after you emptied the poison from it into your glass.
Objection!
There could be any number of alternative explanations. For example, the witness could have been using his pen to write down the details of his conversation with the victim. And when shocked by one of her outrageous answers, the pen fell from his quivering hand.
Objection!
No, that can't be. If it was, how do you explain why the pen was devoid of ink? What? As you can see for yourself if you examine the evidence, there would appear to be no ink present in the reservoir. What newspaper reporter goes to interview someone with nothing in his pen? No, the pen was dropped after the poison that filled its reservoir has been emptied into the victim's glass. Witness, what have you had to say in your defense? So this is how our modern justice system works, is it? So what if the ink in my pen runs dry? So what if my pencil snaps? Oh, I could always claw my way back into the game. I have plenty in reserve. Arg! Oh boy. You claim I sucked the poison into my pen? That's wild speculation. Nothing more. If you thought you could bring down a fine upstanding citizen with a trick like that, think again. How in trouble would he be for throwing pencils at people? Pointy side out? Looks as though it's going to take one final decisive blow to finish this matter. As I see it, the situation now is very simple. It rests upon whether or not this witness did indeed steal the poison on the day in question, and therefore, it all depends upon whether or not the defense can prove that he did with evidence. Most defendants would usually have it worse. This guy's kinda tame. Yeah, pretty tame. Huh, no such evidence could possibly exist. Many Memo-san, this is how our modern justice system works. What? In the courtroom, evidence is everything. Something you would do well to remember. Because we are well past the point of speculation at this stage, I assure you. Very well then, I call upon the defense to present the aforementioned evidence. This is it then. This will be the final piece in the puzzle. The defense can prove by means of this item that it was the witness's pen that was used to steal the poison. Alright. I'm gonna make a guess because I have no idea. The bottle itself, maybe?
Take that!
Okay, it's the bottle itself. You got a way of proving the poison's in the ink reservoir? I guess the poison. Counsel, what is that bottle? This bottle contains the unique chemical reagent that can identify the poison in question. Oh! Yes, that poison is an entirely new synthesis of alkaloids, developed by my colleagues and I. It would be impossible to detect traces of it by any other method. Or, from another perspective, simply with this chemical reagent, anybody at all could check for traces of the poison. A reagent? What? 1 drop of the contents of this bottle on the tip of your fountain pen, Mini Memo-san, is all it will take to solve this case beyond all reasonable doubt. Ugh. Arg. No, you can't. I won't. Your crimes are bad enough, but at least know when to admit defeat. Your Excellency, the defense requests permission to carry out the test in the fountain pen at once. Yeah. Oh boy. This isn't my fault. The Empire drove me to this. Trying to hold its head high as a civilized nation, bowing for power, took a vow to the mighty pen, and then the battle from the noose. The name of justice and righteousness and paragon of justice. Many more! Susato, with me. I'm there. Hiya! Did I do it right? That was a Susato takedown, wasn't it? Not quite. That was a Ryutaro takedown. So who's in trouble here, guys? Like, so much happened. Like, who is in trouble here after that? The instant the first drop of the reagent touched the nib of the fountain pen, it was clear to everyone present. When I saw it there in the lab, the poison, the devil got hold of me, and I decided to do it on a whim. I excused myself and emptied all the ink down the sink in the bathroom, washing the reservoir out carefully. And then you waited for an opportunity to suck up some of the poison, didn't you? Into your fountain pen. Yes, that's right. Answer me one thing, Mini Memo-san. Why did you steal it? For what purpose? Isn't it obvious? To find out what it was made of and expose it in an article. I mean, it was a secret project after all. Too juicy for a journo like me to pass up. Then why did the Englishwoman end up dead? I went into that hut intending to quiz her on her situation, that's all. As a reporter, a known killer enjoying full freedom, evading justice by leaving the country, I told her what I thought about it. And she just laughed in my face. Oh, what's this? A Far Eastern caveman reporting to practice journalism? Really, you must learn the difference between reporting and listening at doorways, you ignorant plebeian. What? What did you call me? This country, with its pretensions to a justice system, To a free press, it's really quite depressing. You see our superior ways in the West, yet you lack the mental capacity to emulate them. Get out of here, you oaf. Get out and crawl back into the cave you came from. That's when I remembered about the deadly poison that I happened to have in my pen at the time. What a terrible tale. In my head, I knew I should just get out of there as quickly as possible, but I couldn't. I couldn't let her get away with what she'd done, when she'd clearly had no remorse at all. I suppose it was my journo spirit getting all fired up. Whew. So where would he go on the kill this man list now? I'd say pretty high, just 'cause he looks like that gym teacher. I'd like to ask you something. Yes? You often talk about justice. But surely as a journalist, you could have used other means to deliver that justice you sought. Spontaneous manslaughter because racism, though? Yeah, that's another reason. Pshoo! Up it goes. There's no justice in the press. Sorry? After that trial 9 months ago, I kept digging and digging to find out what had happened in that courtroom, and finally, I discovered the truth. It was a cover-up, that's what it was. A cover-up? What do you mean? I would remind you of your position, witness. Be careful of what you say. Oh, come on, doesn't it strike you as strange? We're suddenly not allowed to convict a foreign national? Consular jurisdiction should never have come to it, and yet that puffed-up Englishwoman was going to sail away into the sunset, a free woman. The only possible explanation is that, behind the scenes, some deal had gone down between Britain and Japan. What sort of deal? I'd done my research, dug up all the dirt, it was all ready to be published. But you know what happened? The editor just tore the article up. He came under pressure from the government, you mean? If our government is going to let criminals walk free, if they're going to crush the free press, then what choice do I have but to see that justice is done myself? Let's not forget, Mini-Memo-san, that you committed murder yourself, and you tried to lay the blame on the defendant's door. I'm sorry, but you're no better than Giselle Brett. What? The truth is, you have no right to talk about justice at all. I suppose. It would appear that we have reached a conclusion in this trial at last. Counsel for the defense, Ryutaro Naruhodo. Oh. Yes, ahem. Sorry, Your Excellency. Just musing in a manly way out here. It's almost unbelievable that this is your first experience of the Supreme Court. It was an excellent performance. In truth, it very much reminded me of your cousin's exploits. Oh, Ryunosuke, you mean? The way he handled the trial 9 months ago, and the way you handled this one, it gives me hope that we are genuinely entering a new era of justice in the land. That's very flattering, Your Excellency. Hearing the defense you put forward today made me feel more keenly that the future of our justice system will be forged by you and your contemporaries. Thank you. So, Prosecutor Ouchi, do you have any final thoughts? Oh. Prosecutor Ouchi? I, Taketsuchi of the Ouchi clan, have been bested by a callow youth not once now, but twice. If there was any shred of my former self left, it has withered and died here today. Gosh, your journey to cultural enlightenment sure took a while, didn't it? Silence! Rather than living on in shame, I will end it all now with this blade. For the true path to Ouchiism. Our Ouchiism? One hopes that the one way in which he'll be modeling himself after the witness. Sprig of my topknot, the time is right for farewell.
hope is lost forever. Taketsuchi.
Don't do it. Ah. Wow. Hey Kuna, welcome to the stream. You're just in time. Someone took the last of his honor. How you doing though? It's good to see you here. Happy Star Wars Day to ya. Happy Star Wars and Ace Attorney Day. Now, in regard to the defendant, Rei Membami-san. Yes, Your Excellency? I have reached my final verdict. I hereby find you. Tomorrow's your birthday. Ooh! Come here tomorrow, Kuna, and I'll sing happy birthday to you. That's awesome. I hereby find you not guilty. Yay! That's your birthday celebration falling sakura leaves, Kuna. Just to let you know. What are you gonna do tomorrow? Anything good for your B-Day? Court is adjourned. Slam. School? Oh, school on your birthday. You were not fortunate enough to be born on November 11th, sad to say, where, you never had a school on your birthday. Well, I hope your fellow students and teachers, wish you a good happy birthday. Like, hey, bro, happy birthday to you. 1 year older, yeah. Something like that. It's over. My heart is still pounding in my chest, though. It's all I can do just to stay standing. Lawyers have such great responsibility, such a great burden to bear. Definitely, that's good. I hope you'll stick around for a bit. This game I'm playing, Kuna, is really, really good. It's really fun. Did you do anything Star Warsy today, by the way? 'Cause it's May the 4th. Don't they, Naruhodo-san? Susato! Susato! Thank you so much. You were so dashing in there. Rei and Father. Honestly, I'm so touched by everything you've... Oh no, I think I'm going to cry. It wasn't easy, but together we made it. I was on the verge of tears at the end too. The only reason I'm still here is because of you. Oh no, I can't take all the credit. It took courage to tell the truth in there. You did wonderfully, Rei, so I would have to say that congratulations belongs to you. You had baseball all day, not much besides that today. Baseball. You got sunburn? Oh no. Wear extra sunscreen next time. That's what I did when I went to Camel Beach last year. I just kept piling on the sunscreen. And I was more or less protected. But I hope your team won. Hope you played good. Susato, don't be so standoffish. Sorry? We're friends, equals, and the trial's over, so no more of this formal super humility nonsense. It's time to celebrate with swagger, to throw caution to the wind. Caution to the... what? I'm the great defense lawyer, Ryutaro Naruhodo, and I'm taking you out to a milk bar tomorrow. Or something. Right, I see. Basically, your life as a redhead. Yeah, that's how, that's the redhead life, But hey, could be worse, right? Could be worse, I think. I'll think about it, Rei. At any rate, we really knocked the wind out of that horrid man, and it felt so good. Yes, it was satisfying. It really was. Is there anybody else we could throw together? Hope you're not looking at me, Rei. Oh my goodness! No, of course not, of course not! Ah, there it is at last, Rei's lovely smile. You fought for your friend to the very last. As your father, I'm extremely proud of you, defense attorney Ryutaro Naruhodo. Thank you, but I couldn't have done it without your help. Anyway, it's time to bid farewell to Ryutaro, I think. I shall miss him in a way, but it's back to Susato Mikotoba now.
So, I'll never see him again then? What a terrible shame. What? What is happening? So Seki-san and Inspector Hosonaga, I do hope you've been keeping well? Is that really you? Yes, I had to change my appearance for, well, obvious reasons I hope, but it's me. Susato Mikotoba. I don't. So dashing, so divine. No. Doubly dashing, yes, and devilishly divine. Just look at you. I had no idea, Miss Susato-san Esquires, that you were locum student Naruhodo-san Esquire's cousin. Astonishingly astounding ace attorney. Poor Soseki-san, so confused. I still remember the first time I ever met him. He was in a prison cell in London. What an extraordinary conundrum it was that the unwitting student from Japan found himself embroiled in. But after Naruhodo-san's skillful defense in the Old Bailey, Soseki-san was free to return to Japan. And he's alive! And now he seems to have earned himself a great fame as an author. I'm stunned. That's a truly impressive disguise. Even I had no idea, and I'm a chief inspector at the police bureau, who came up with Mr. Turtle, no less. I'm not sure you should be admitting to that, Inspector. No. Amazing. You're a woman of many faces, I see. Just two, really. And this was a once-in-a-lifetime event, I hope. Oh, I'm not a patch on you, though, Inspector. Well, I am a professional, of course. I do worry about Inspector Hosonaga sometimes, I really do. 9 months ago, when he appeared here in the Supreme Court to testify, he was undercover, disguised as the head waiter of a restaurant. And then on the steamship to Great Britain, of course, disguised as a sailor to keep us safe on the journey. Though that didn't help you, did it, Kazuma-sama? From my perspective, I have to admit that I have mixed feelings about all this. I mean, now the truth has been lost forever. What do you mean? I'm talking about the murder that the Englishwoman committed at the end of last year. Ah, yes, it was an English doctor she killed, as I understand it. Dr. John H. Wilson, yes, the man I invited to Japan personally. This mystery is, why did she kill him? And now that the culprit herself is dead, we'll probably never know the answer. On the voyage to Great Britain, we had a most unexpected encounter with Mr. Herlock Sholmes, the great detective, I mean. Yes, I remember why Mr. Sholmes as well, of course. Ah, my arch-nemesis. How lightly you utter his name. Well, according to the stories published about him in the Adventures of Herlock Sholmes, the detective once had a partner who helped him solve crimes, a best friend. And that man was an exceptionally doctor of medicine by the name of John H. Wilson. What? Dr. Wilson? I just can't believe that it's a coincidence. I think that the English doctor of medicine killed here in Japan 9 months ago must have been the friend and partner of Mr. Sholmes. And if that's really true, then the poor girl won't ever see her beloved father again. Poor Iris. As you know, I traveled to Great Britain once myself to study. It was around the time you were born. Yes, grandmother told me about it. On returning to Japan, I looked up my professorship at the Imperial Yume University, but I also serve another role, as an advisor to the government on diplomatic affairs. Yes, I was aware of that as well. In that case, I'm sure you understand that there are some confidential matters I cannot divulge to you. Could you just tell me one thing? Why did you summon me back to Japan? It's been 2 months now since I returned. When I left England, it was because an urgent telegram had arrived from Japan. It said that you'd collapsed with a high fever, and you were growing weaker by the day. What? Where did that news come from? That's what I'd like to know, because after that long sea voyage, I found you in fine health, Father. Was there something in Great Britain that you perceived might inconvenience me in some way? Or harm me? That's really the only explanation I can think of. Dear me, do you reserve your most cutting glares for your father, Susato? I'm sorry, my dear, I simply can't. Arrgh! Let me go! Many Memo-san! So, one throw wasn't enough for you. I've got one less thing to say before they take me away, Professor. Me? I know the truth. I know you had a hand in what went on. In that visiting student's fate. Visiting student? Giselle Brett, you mean? No, not her. A student of law who left for Great Britain 8 months ago. What? Student of law? He must mean Kazuma-sama. What are you talking about? What does any of this have to do with Kazuma-sama? Nobody here in Japan knows anything about it. They don't know that the guy never made it to England, that he died on that steamship, and that he'll never... Arrgh! Oh? Well, I didn't expect to find him in here. What were you officers playing at? Terribly sorry, sir, Your Excellency. Important. What does that mean? I was coming to tell you that the rickshaw has arrived, Eugen, and it's a good job I came by. Yes, thank you for dealing with him, and I'll be there shortly. Oh, Your Excellency. Ha. The trial's over. I'm not Your Excellency anymore. Merely your father's friend, Seishiro Jigoku. And may I say that since I saw you last, you seem to have taken on a more dashing appearance. Susato. Did you know all along, from the start of the trial? Ha. A judge sees everything, Susato. I couldn't let you take the risk if Seishiro here hadn't known and then he'd recognized you. So I had a word in his ear beforehand, as an old friend. So, Seishiro, shall we? Yes, having ruled on that case, we now have various diplomatic issues to address. Before you go, Father... Sorry, my dear, we shall have to return to our earlier conversation at a later date. But well done again, both of you. You did admirably. Oh, thank you very much. It means finished, basically, used in grappling matches. Oh, gotcha. So, Ippon! What did you think of my Seishiro sling, eh? It has been a while since I sent a man flying like that. Ha. Whatever could Father be hiding from me? About Giselle Brett, about Dr. Wilson, and now it seems, according to the reporter, about Kazuma-sama. I'm going to have to bring this up with Father sometime, when nobody else is around. Judicial Assistant Mikotoba could I have a word? Oh, yes, of course. So, Seki-san, what is it? I think perhaps it could be fate that we're meeting again like this now. You see, there's something I need to tell you. Oh, I believe that it may be related to the reason why your father summoned you back from England. This I have to hear. Please, Soseki-san, tell me at once. I will. As you know, my time in England was terrible. Cursed, I have no doubt. Such awful things I was embroiled in. Thank goodness locum student Naruhodo-san Esquire stepped in. After he secured my freedom, I couldn't wait to get on a ship back here to my homeland. Having arrived in Japan, I submitted a report about my experiences to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. The next thing I knew, I had a visitor. It was your father, Professor Mikotoba. He wanted to ask me all sorts of things about my report. My father? He seemed to be especially taken with a particular part of the report. Anyway, he left eventually, having thoroughly quizzed me. But it was the very next day that he sent the telegram to you asking you to return to Japan. What was it then, the particular part of my father was interested in? I don't really know exactly. But do you remember them? Those 2 terrible cases I was caught up in? Of course, I can never forget. Your father seemed to concern himself mainly with the second case. The second one? You mean the one Mr. Sholmes forbade any of us to talk about in public? Which is why the only case involving you that... Wait, which is why the only case involving you that any member of the public is aware of is the first. Well, I don't care. I don't have to listen to what that dastardly detective says. Anyway, the point is, it seems that case somehow holds the key to all these curious unanswered questions. I know. Shady stuff is going on. The horrific, hideous, heinous case, the case of the haunted lodgings. The case somehow caused my father to summon me urgently back to Japan. I thought that whole business was over, but it seems I was wrong. Perhaps that was the only to start. Perhaps the story is not yet told. Gears.
So, the mystery of that English woman's death is solved, thank goodness. And having stood in the Supreme Court now, I think I can comprehend a little better. How you must be feeling as you fight for people's freedom in a foreign land, Naruhodo-san. But actually, I'm writing to you today because of another matter. I met Soseki-san and we talked about that second case he was involved in. Father has said nothing to me, but I feel certain of it. That case holds the key to some great unsolved mystery. My notes on the case should still be in the office, tucked away at the back of the shelves on the left. Perhaps you might like to look over them again. Today, for the first time this year, it feels as though summer has arrived. The sky is a brilliant blue. It makes me long to see you again. Yours, Susato.
Whew. What a case that was, guys, huh? And one case down, 4 more to go. Yeah, let's save. The Memoirs of the Clouded Kokoro. What the heck is a Kokoro? Alright.
It was a ghastly tale of a winter's night. One of an invisible killer and a crime perpetrated on the pavement along Briar Road. As the victim lay at death's door, the mystery of just who had stabbed the young lady from behind had been resolved. But no sooner had my friend saved that Eastern Exchange student from his harrowing plight, then in the dim, flickering shadows of gaslight did a second bizarre crime rend the stillness of that very night. I dare say most can still recall the sensational headlines of the day.
Oh, not even close, Kuna.
Haunted apartment.
We're
of
just
death,
starting.
The condemned criminal's curse. The dread demon of coal gas. Yet, though the great detective had at once discerned the truth upon his arrival at the scene, it only proved to be the overture that announced the rising of the curtain on a most tragic play.
Kill Jester. Yeah, that case we did, Kuna, was just the warm-up case. This is the main event now. Well, kind of the main event. My name is Ryunosuke Naruhodo. I'm a fledgling lawyer, just starting out on my journey. 6 months ago, I arrived as a visiting student of law, having made the long voyage across the sea from the Empire of Japan to here, London, England. And on the way, in quite an extraordinary circumstances, I made the acquaintance of a world-famous detective. Currently, I reside in the attic of the detective's own lodgings, from where I run my legal consultancy of sorts. Successfully defended a number of clients in Britain's highest court, the Old Bailey. But since a particular grueling and unforgettable legal battle 4 months ago now, I haven't returned to the courtroom. In truth, I lost my right to return. But that epic trial was just one small part of an epic tale, a tale which now was about to awaken from slumber, thanks to a letter that arrived this morning from my homeland. Rumble. What a delicious smell wafting up the stairs. Must be nearly time for breakfast. Better go down to Sholmes' suite and say good morning to the great detective and his flatmate. Okay. I swear, guys, if this case is as bad as the second case in the last game, I'm gonna be very upset.
Ah, Runo, good! I was just about to call up to you. The bacon's ready.
Good morning, Iris. It smells delicious as usual. Before we eat, though, I have some news. I had a surprise this morning. Shh, not another word, Mr. Naruhodo. This could be just the obtuse thing for my pre-breakfast stagnation repelling mental stimulation, my dear fellow. Morning to you too, Mr. Sholmes. Ah, yes, I see. So that's it. Oh, God. The truth is as clear to me as day. My faculties, our observation, have revealed it again. What are you talking about? You, Mr. Naruhodo, you have, this very morning, met with a surprise. Well, is that not the case? Really, my dear fellow, it barely warrants explanation. Firstly, your hair is particularly unkempt, somewhat reminiscent of a bird's nest. Secondly, you have neglected to fasten the third button of your jacket. Clearly, when considered together, these two facts point to you having been flustered this morning. Can I talk now? No. But of course, though I don't look for admiration, you understand. My hair always looks like this. It's been this way since I first met you. Oh, it has? And the button was ripped off last night, if you remember, by you.
Hurley pulled your button off?
Ah, yes, I recall the incident now. It was after supper, was it not? As the evening advanced, I picked up my violin and began to play the wailing notes of a haunting tune. But then, to my utter dismay, the third string snapped. Why did it have to happen? Why? Little wonder, then, that in my vexation, I grabbed the first button I saw and ripped it from its proper place. Well, I'd like it back now, please. It's troubling me that I can't fasten my jacket. And it's troubling, me that you expect me to know where it is. Somewhere thereabouts on the floor, one presumes. Helpful. What matters is at the present time, my dear fellow, is simply whether or not my deduction was unerring.
But Hurley, Runo said that when he came in, didn't he? I had a surprise this morning.
Well, that really is a surprise. Yes, this man is the pride of the British Empire, the famous consulting detective, Mr. Herlock Sholmes. There can't be a single person in the world who doesn't know his name.
Alright then, enough of this silly conversation. Come and eat this bacon before it gets cold. And I have a new herbal tea for you to try too, the latest special blend.
And here we have Iris Wilson, Mr. Sholmes' lodger and companion. A truly exceptional young girl, who is the author of a highly successful serialization here in London. Yes, The Adventures of Herlock Sholmes, as published in Rand's magazine. What's his name? I never heard of it. This guy? Herlock Sholmes. Herlock of the Sholmes. So, Mr. Naruhodo, won't you put us out of your misery? What surprised you this fine morning? Ah, well, I received a letter from Japan.
Oh, from Susie, you mean?
That's right, and she had some rather startling news, in fact. You thought Sholmes was dead? Nope. He lived. He was at the end of the last game.
Ah, intriguing indeed. You must tell us all about it over breakfast. Oh yes, what fun!
Okay. Let's have a conversation. This is the letter that arrived from Japan this morning by International Post.
Oh, how lovely. Look at Susie's beautiful writing. Wish I could read it.
And how is your judicial assistant faring, may I ask? She's very well, thank you. In fact, according to what she's written, she actually appeared as a lawyer at a Japanese Supreme Court and won a case.
Ah, really? Oh, isn't she wonderful?
You didn't try hard enough?
Didn't try hard enough. I'll say it as many times as you need me to.
Ho ho ho. A cut above your good self, my dear fellow.
I've won cases too, you know. Apparently, Mr. Natsume appeared in a trial as a witness. Natsume. No, I don't recall that name. Of course you do. We helped the man. Twice. You know, in those 2 cases that took place on Briar Road 6 months ago.
Ah, the mustached twitchy man with the somewhat feline eyes and the mustache. He didn't have 2 mustaches, Hurley.
Yes, who could forget those 2 cases? They made a very deep impression on me.
Although I must confess, the details are a little hazy now.
A very deep impression they made on you, clearly. So, what was this startling news penned by Miss Susato? Do you remember the case of the haunted lodgings, Mr. Sholmes?
Ah, yes, it's very interesting, you know. I don't feel entirely uncertain that a case of that nature did not occur.
He's totally forgotten then. Anyway, in her letter, Miss Susato asked that we read over her case notes again and investigate further. Though it took place half a year ago.
For what purpose? Hey, Blue Thunder, what's up?
How you doing today? How was your Star Warsing today? Because of something that Mr. Natsume said to her, apparently. He suggested that the reason why she was called back to Japan so suddenly might have something to do with that case of the haunted lodgings. Oh. On Mr. Natsume's return to Japan, Miss Susato's father questioned him about the case, she says, and something Mr. Natsume said appeared to trouble Professor Mikotoba, prompting him to send that telegram.
Oh, that case, yes! It was very strange, wasn't it?
Yes.
And I had compiled the whole story into a nice, neat manuscript ready for publication, too. But then Hurley's here was all funny about it, remember? He was very mean. That story must not be published, you said, very mysteriously as well.
Really?
I said that.
Are you sure? How was my Star Wars day? It was good. I spent most of the day,
playing this game with a friend of mine, but it was still very good.
As you saw this morning, Blue Thunder, with Star Wars's.
Are you sure? Do you perhaps know something about it as well, Mr. Sholmes? About why Miss Susato was suddenly told 4 months ago that she had to return to Japan? Yeah, what's going on?
It's been 4 months now that we've waved Susie off at Dover. It was such a shock, wasn't it? The way she just suddenly announced that she had to go back to Japan?
Indeed it was, due to a telegram that she received from her homeland, I believe. That's right, telling her to return urgently.
Yes, because her father had passed away.
No, it just said he was suffering from high fever, the cause of which was unknown. He's not dead. But according to this letter, that news about her father's fever was just a ruse.
A ruse? So, Susie's daddy lied to her that she'd make the voyage back home? Why would he do that?
I have to admit, I have absolutely no idea, but she believes it's almost certainly related to the case of the haunted lodgings. Summoning her back to Japan so suddenly like that, I wonder what Miss Susato's father is hiding.
Hurley, do you know what it's all about?
Ah, well, who can say? What? But you said... Please, I have engagements, my dear fellow. My calendar is quite surprisingly full today. And a stringent analysis of the matter would be excessive, I feel, even if I were quite at leisure. So, mend the forts in my absence, won't you, Iris?
I will, Hurley. Don't worry. See you later.
He scuttled off rather quickly there.
Can you be summoned back to Japan so suddenly?
Yeah, sure. I'll have someone send you a telegram. It must be by telegram, Stars. I think perhaps Professor Mikotoba isn't the only person hiding something here. Soseki-san was involved in 2 cases, but only one of them was forbidden from being published. By, of all people, Mr. Sholmes.
I found them at last.
Iris, are they?
The notes about the case? That's right. Susie and I compiled them together. The case of the haunted lodgings. Do you want to read them, Runo?
Absolutely. Thank you, Iris. I have no idea what secrets could still be hiding in the
Shadows of this case. 3 to 6 weeks by courier.
Yep. By carrier pigeon.
Just for you, Stars.
Perhaps if I read over the notes again, something might come to light.
That's the spirit.
Don't shoot! And so, Iris and I decided to read over the case notes again together. Everything from what happened to our investigation and that fierce battle in court that followed. Reliving every detail. I just need to find a clue, and I have all the time in the world. Because, of course, I'm no longer allowed to practice law in the courts of Great Britain. Well, that stinks. It was 6 months ago, a mysterious incident that unfolded on the wintry streets of London. A young woman was found lying on the snowy pavement of Briar Road with a knife in her back. Fortunately, her life was spared, but she was unconscious for several days following the incident. The fog was thick and nobody saw her attacker, but, by a cruel twist of fate, a visiting Japanese student was walking behind her at the time and was duly arrested. That man was Soseki-san, and the man who effected his arrest was Mr. Sholmes. Believing in our compatriot's innocence, Susato-san and I decided to represent Soseki-san in court, and after a grueling trial of many twists and turns, we finally managed to prove his innocence. Joyful, joyous, jubilant, jubilation! Was the man's reaction after the trial, but his jubilant jubilation was short-lived. We received a telegram from Mr. Sholmes the following morning. The victim of the Briar Road stabbing has regained consciousness. Hurry to Bart's at once. So Susato-san and I summoned a handsome and headed immediately to the hospital. So this is a flashback case, I take it. Flashback case.
Hey guys, this case is already more interesting than the second case in the last game.
Funny that. There you are at last. Good morning, Mr. Sholmes.
I think not. Oh!
You're late. What on earth took you so long?
Your telegram only arrived at 5 o'clock, Mr. Sholmes, and it's a 20-minute ride to the hospital.
I don't like that rat there.
Are rats in hospitals safe, guys? It's almost like they weren't sure what the heck they were doing in the last game.
I know, right? Crazy.
That's right. And it's 5:30 now. I think we made very good time. The time is utterly irrelevant. The fact is, I have been waiting for what it has felt like an eternity. In point of fact, I myself was awoken at 4 this morning by a telegram boy, and feeling it was somewhat unjust that I alone had been roused at such an hour, I sent one to you.
Well, thanks for that.
Anyway, you're here now, so the victim is over there. She's only just regained consciousness.
The rat? Oh, not the rat.
You'll introduce yourselves, and I shall observe from here.
So that's the lady who was found on the snow-covered pavement with the knife in her back.
Your name is... Ah, yes, here we are. Miss Green.
What a boring flippin' name that is. It's okay, rats in hospitals are washing and dried so they are squeaky clean. Law, the rat is the victim.
Oh, the rat is the victim, mates.
Just gonna examine the rat.
Eek! A mouse, Mr. Naruhodo! An enormous mouse!
For a minute in a hospital,
That doesn't seem the best, but it looks like a very healthy specimen, doesn't it? It's very plump. I'm not sure we can say that's down to the excellence of this facility, if that's what we were thinking. Okay, we'll just leave it there. Let's talk to Miss Green, guys. Hey! Good morning. Oh boy. Hello. I'm Ryunosuke Naruhodo from the Empire of Japan. Oh no, was it your knife that? Are you the man who... No, I'm a lawyer. And I'm Susato Mikatoba. Pleased to meet you. Oh no, was it your knife then? Are you the one? No, I assure you, I'm Mr. Naruhodo's judicial assistant. We heard that you'd regained consciousness and wanted to come give you our best wishes. Best wishes? For me? Thank you. I'm Olive Green. I'm an artist. Well, no, that's not right, is it? What I mean is, I'm trying to be an artist. Well, what I really mean is, I desperately want to be an artist. But the truth is, I don't have any talent. I know I don't. It's no wonder I was stabbed in the back. I don't think that's related, actually. Gosh, this young woman seems to bend over backwards to put herself down. Seeing as we're here, we should ask her about what happened from her perspective, I suppose. Alright. To suddenly be struck in the back by a blade as you are walking along the pavement, what a terrible experience you had, Miss Green. It was so cold that day, and the fog was so thick, I couldn't see a thing. That was 4 days ago now, I think. Is that right? Yes, that's right. I'm afraid you've been comatose all that time. But the case has been solved, hasn't it? Well, I've been here in the hospital, I mean. Indeed it has, my dear madam. Spectacularly by none other than I, Herlock Sholmes. Mr. Sholmes, as you well know, it was Mr. Naruhodo-san's hard work in court that solved the case. Are you yet to hear what happened, Miss Green? Yes, I am afraid so. A gentleman from the police force is supposed to be coming to fill me in shortly. Oh, I see. Me coming around seems to have made everyone frantically busy. I'm so sorry. I should never ever gain consciousness. It was selfish of me. Oh no! We're all so relieved that you're on the mend, Miss Green. Really we are. With that kind of attitude, maybe her surname should be Blue, not Green. Ha 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 ha. So, you're an artist, are you, Miss Green? Oh no, I couldn't possibly claim that. I'm a fledgling artist at best. I mean, I'm a student of art, really, at the Thorndike Academy of Fine Arts. Oh my, an Academy of Fine Arts. Great Britain is such a wonderful country. Tell me, Miss Green, do you live hereabouts? Oh no, actually, I don't deserve it, but I have a little flat on Brixton Road. I see. How very interesting. Oh no, is it? Brixton is some 10 stops away on the underground from here, and Thorndike Academy is a mere 3-minute walk from Brixton town center. Does that matter, Mr. Sholmes? Perhaps not, but Briar Road is a far less salubrious part of town by comparison, dwelt in by those of inferior means, including the maleficent Mr. Mustache. Inferior means? Suppose Soseki-san does fit the bill. It struck me as somewhat out of the ordinary for a young fine art student to be walking with in such a district. That's all. What's this? She suddenly clammed up. Mr. Sholmes, you should be ashamed of yourself, prying into a young maiden's private affairs. Oh dear me, do forgive me. If you don't mind. I'm being discharged shortly, so I need to pack up my things. Oh yes, of course, we won't keep you. Thank you so much, Miss Green. She recovered from her back attack very, very fastly. Can we give her things? Doesn't look like it. She is in the back. That must be a bag of Miss Green's personal belongings. She would have been brought directly here after she was found stabbed on the pavement, though. I expect a friend or family member probably brought some things for her.
Alright then, let's see what's inside. Change of clothes, no doubt, and... No, Mr. Naruhodo, you must never scrutinize a young maiden's personal belongings. But the young maiden might have chocolates, or biscuits, or caramel. Sorry, I don't like caramel, to be honest. There are lots of bottles in that cabinet, aren't there? You think it's safe to keep them like that? Hee hee, if you were a patient here, I feel sure you take some medicine by mistake when you were half asleep. That is a worry, but at least the cabinet has a lock, even if it's only a flimsy-looking one. Oh, I've no doubt you managed to unlock that somehow while you were half asleep as well. There are limits even to what I can do when I'm half asleep, you know, Miss Susato. What's in my court record? Oh, the second book receipt, and the nearby street map. Remember this street map, guys? I sure remember. And here's the people's. Maybe this. Ah, this looks like the patient's treatment note. Let's see. Do not feed. What is this place? A zoo? You know, I seem to remember seeing an almost identical sign in our local park. For the pigeons, yes, that is a person. This is a person. Poor woman. Oh, she hasn't read this. Ouch. This rounded wooden figure isn't the most charming, is it? I don't think that's a decoration, Mr. Naruhodo. It's an artist mannequin, I believe, used when practicing sketching the human form in many poses. Really? Not exactly what you'd call a typical figure for that purpose, though, is it? No, I suppose not. I confess I've never seen one quite so full-figured before. Well, if you want to draw a full-figured person, it's the right tool for the job. Oh man, where are we examining now? Picture? Look, there's a photograph in this frame here. Oh, artist. Oh yes, it's a picture of a young gentleman. Looks to be about the same age as Miss Green, I would say. Perhaps the young woman's special someone, do you think? My, Mr. Naruhodo, I didn't know you had a sense for matters of the heart. Not in the least. I sincerely said the first thing I thought of. Is there a Mr. Naru Fodder here? Mr. Naru Fodder? Naru Fodder now? Well, if you're looking for Naruhodo, the lawyer, that's me, but... Ah, Mr. Naruhodo, good! This is for you. It's a message from Mr. Saucy Nutsmeg. Mr. Natsumi sent a message to me? But why would a policeman be delivering a message from Mr. Natsumi? Exactly, what's going on? What's a Scotland Yard constable doing playing delivery boy at this time in the morning? Arg, what are you waiting for? Let me see that. Oh. Well, this is most unexpected. Is something wrong, Mr. Sholmes? Is something wrong, Mr. Sholmes, he says. Have you not seen this note? No, how could I have? Saucy Nutmeg. I know, but silly names. It would seem that London's criminals have no intention of letting the great detective rest. A new case calls, a case of murder, no less. We must depart at once. Murder? Call a cab. Time is of the essence. But the trouble is, we've yet to read Mr. Natsumi's note. I was thinking we ought to pay him a visit in his lodgings once we did. That will be entirely convenient. Convenient? What do you mean? It's all here in the note, my dear fellows. The murder we must investigate took place at Mr. Mustache's lodgings. Wait, what? I'll hail a fierce at once. What the heck, guys? It was only yesterday that Soseki-san was in court and we were dispelling doubts about his innocence. And now, the very next day, there's a murder at the man's own address? He may very well be the unluckiest man alive, or so it seemed to us at the time, but we were soon to discover it was worse than we thought. How? Watch the soldier guy is dead or something, even though he was a jury member in the last game. We're back in February, guys! Brrr. Oh. Well,
What on earth? Oh my, the gentleman is deceased without question. He's dead. Locum student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire. Mr. Natsumi. Oh, why? Why is this happening? Why to me? I've only just got out of court. Yesterday, I was finally home after 2 days of misery. Then I wake up the next day to this. No early bird should catch a worm like this. Woeful, worm, without, wiggle. I see you're in high spirits again this morning, Mr. Mustache. Arg! Not the horrible Herlock Sholmes. Shoo, shove off. Show yourself to the door. I never invited you.
Didn't we see this guy in the last game, by the way?
That's blunt. Mr. Sholmes came here with us. I'm quite sure he'll be able to help you, Mr. Natsumi. I am entirely at your disposal, Mr. Mustache. What can I do for you?
Grrr. Hey, this guy. Here they are, already, the busybodies.
Ah, Inspector Gregson, what a pleasant surprise.
Pleasant, is it? Gives me heartburn every time I see your face at a crime scene, Sholmes.
Ah, I deduce, Inspector, that your heartburn is a result of your excessive consumption of fried food. Good morning, Inspector.
We saw him alright. I was kind of wondering where else he'd show up.
Right here, apparently.
I did not expect him to show up dead, though.
This is a crime scene. Don't you go touching anything.
Or good morning to you too, Sunshine. Welp, this is, unfortunate.
Oi, I said hands off. You're gonna mess up my crime scene.
Oh, no, I just wanted to look, that's all.
No chance. I know you're kind. You'll mess it up but just by looking at it. Someone's in a bad mood.
There's certainly some bad air in here, isn't there? Alright, sounds like I'd better talk to the inspector first and try to curry some favor. So, Inspector, what was the victim's name? Who was he? Mr. William Shamsphere. Shakespeare, Shamsphere.
Wow. Amazing.
He was a lodger here. As you can probably tell, he was an actor. A bit of a dead loss as it happens, or just dead. Mr. Shamsphere.
It was the landlord, old Mr. Garadeb, and the other lodger, Mr. Natsumi, who found him. The fella didn't rise at his usual hour, so Garadeb got worried and kicked the door down.
Shamsphere, nice.
Yep.
But doesn't Mr. Garadeb have a bad leg?
Oh yeah, you're right there. It was that jittery Japanese hunchback over there who actually did the kicking.
Really? So Seki-san?
The victim was pretty hard up, it seems. Even done some time inside for petty crimes.
He had no money, no place to go, and no friends. His only acquaintances were the people in this house.
Miserable life and a miserable end to it.
So what exactly is Mr. Natsumi still doing here? Not involved in the investigation, so shouldn't you have sent him away from the crime scene?
Well, I'm not saying it's because the fella looks odd or anything, or that he acts suspicious, but I thought it would be prudent to take a statement from the cohabiter.
You nearly said culprit there, didn't you? Oh dear. Mr. Natsumi appears to be under suspicion again.
Certainly seems that way.
Doesn't come across as such an odd fellow, doesn't he?
Or he does. And these names. Don't you love them?
Hee. Poor man, how unfortunate.
Anyway, I can't say much until the coroner gets here. But I don't think the fellow's been a goner that long. The body's still warm.
Even if the inspector would allow it, I don't think I could bring myself to touch that dead body. Yeah, me neither. What a terrible thing to have happened. It's only been 3 days since I was arrested for the incident at the pavement outside. And then, having finally regained my freedom, it starts happening all over again. Endless existence of excruciating experiences. So, the victim lived here on the ground floor, and your room is only 1 story up? Story up, is it?
Is that how you spell that?
Yes, that's right. In a way, we were neighbors, I suppose. So did you know the victim? Were you friends?
What's the matter with Soseki-san now? It was an innocent enough question, wasn't it? Why does he seem to so shaken by it? What? Well, I suppose he wasn't a complete stranger, but he doesn't ever invite me to his room? Never! On my honor, I swear it. What an extreme reaction. You're probably wishing you'd never asked now, aren't you, Mr. Naruhodo? When we found him here, I felt wretched, which is why I sent word asking you to come. Do that inspector over there. Oh, this inspector? Mr. Goofy posing inspector here? Or detective? Mr. Sholmes, what are you doing? You need only observe to know it, my dear fellow. Investigating, naturally. There's nothing natural about that pose. Mr. Sholmes, have you made some miraculous discovery? Patience, my dear madam, patience. We've not been here in this room 5 minutes. So far, all I've managed to deduce is what actually happened. My goodness! But, is that everything we need to know, Mr. Sholmes? Now that you propose the idea, I believe one could indeed see it that way. At the present time, I have managed to draw 2 incontrovertible conclusions. The first, that there was a physical struggle here last night in which the victim fought for his life. Mr. Natsumi, what's wrong? Is something that Mr. Sholmes said significant somehow? No, don't mind me. Forget I was here. And my second conclusion is that there was a poison lingering in the air here last night that passed the victim's lips. Nonsense! Alright, Mr. Natsumi, why are you reacting so extremely to Mr. Sholmes' deductions? No, please, pretend I'm not here. Invisible, ineffable, inscrutable, insignificant. Impossible to ignore. You must tell us everything, Mr. Sholmes. Spare no detail. But of course. Let's the theatrical tragedy before us be unveiled by my great deductions, presented for your pleasure in 2 acts. It's that time again, guys. We've heard some truly astounding great deductions from Mr. Sholmes in the past. No doubt this will be no exception. What miracles will unfold before our eyes this time? So, my dear fellows, for your delight and wonder, let the curtain rise. For Herlock Sholmes' Logic and Reasoning Spectacular, Act 1. Here we go. What crazy things will we know this time, guys? Careful observation of the victim reveals to us the events that transpired in this disconsolate room last night. Foam at the mouth of the deceased clearly indicates the use of poison. Next to the victim, we notice a large dining plate which contains, you will observe, 1/2 of a sizable bar of soap. Meaningful, indubitably. Why is this the soap set so purposefully upon the dish? Like the victim's last supper, in fact, yes. Could it be that the man was about to eat it, or of course, the fork reveals the answer. It appears that the young man's appetite was his undoing. Taking up arms in the form of his cutlery, the victim engaged in a deadly battle for his life. Yet the struggle against his hunger was in vain, for in the end he couldn't resist devouring the slippery feast. But London's foul soap is besmirched by foul poison. Yes, the victim's life was claimed by poison that tainted the contents of the plate. The soap and the lather about the young man's mouth are too perfectly matched to ignore. The cause of death was clearly intoxication due to excessive ingestion of foul soap. Though personally, I have a greater interest in the taste of the foul candle wax, of course.
That explains a lot, Sholmes. Soap, foam at the mouth. Alright, moving on.
Murder? The cause of death identified, we proceed to Act 2, where we ponder the next question. Was this suicide or murder?
The audience will recall that the death occurred during the victim's last supper. Did the man dine and die alone? The single teacup suggests the answer. To draw a conclusion on such meager evidence would be foolish, however, certainly. The careful criminal could have absconded with his own cup to cover his tracks. Well, allow me to lift the veil of doubt, my dear fellow. Indeed, what reveals the answer, of course, is this broken lock. Though forced open now, at the time of the incident, this door was locked. And the soul key was in the victim's pocket. In other words, when the victim consumed the poison, he must have been alone with his inferior soap, from whence wafted an inferior scent. And with that arid aroma lingering in the air, the victim met his end in tragic solitude. We can take comfort not only in the fact that his soul was well cleansed on his way to the hereafter.
Okay. So back then did have lye in it, which is heinously poisonous.
Oh yeah. I remember that from that one show my mom showed me.
Thus concludes the final act of Herlock Sholmes's great deduction. There's just one thing, Mr. Sholmes. You were disposed to identifying just one thing, aren't you, Mr. Naruhodo? Pray, what concerns you? Well, no matter how angry he was, do you really think the man would have eaten soap? It is quite apparent that this man had barely a penny to his name. It is a curious thing, but to one so destitute, soap can suddenly appear quite irresistibly appeasing. How extraordinary. In truth, I have tried a little soap myself in the past. You've eaten it, you mean? My dear fellow, it was some time ago now. My postulation was that it would cleanse my gut. And did it? As I writhed in agony on the floor and spilt the contents of my stomach, yes, I believe it did. The experience taught me a valuable lesson. Soap is quite poisonous. It has an unpleasant taste and leads to great discomfort. In summary, I cannot recommend it.
I think they made edible soap though, like many years ago. I still would not recommend soap though, guys. Don't ever eat soap ever. Ew, I know. Believe me, I wouldn't eat it even if you did.
There's something that troubles me as well, actually. Oh, what's that? It's Mr. Natsumi.
0 out of 10, would not recommend eating lye. I took the lye out of most soaps decades ago.
Probably for the best, huh? I couldn't help noticing him shuddering and quivering out of the corner of my eye, almost as if Mr. Sholmes' deductions touched a nerve somehow.
Was lye used in making hats, by the way? In some way or form?
Nonsense. Well, that clenched teeth episode didn't last. I think, judging by Mr. Natsumi's reaction, the Greek detective's deductions may need some gentle corrections in order to reach the actual truth.
Oh, Mercury was. Okay, it was Mercury.
That's what that 1,000 Ways to Die segment was.
I can't believe I remember that. I'm sure you can imagine what happened, by the way.
Yes, Mr. Sholmes' observations and deductions are sometimes a little too sharp. He has a tendency to hit the nail on the side of his head and drive it in an obtuse angle. When he does that, it fails to us to
straighten things out. Mercury helped cure the felt used in hats and slowly degraded the minds of the hat makers who worked with it.
Yeah. And one person played with the mercury a little too much, let's just say, on that particular segment.
Alright then, let's see what we can do. Yes, we must pick out the key words in Mr. Sholmes' quite brilliant deductions, and discreetly exchange them for something that makes a little more sense. We can do that. I'm sure we'll arrive at what Mr. Sholmes meant to say in the first place. In that case, are you ready for the second performance of the day? Once again, my dear fellows, for your continued delight and wonder, let the curtain rise for Herlock Sholmes' Logic and Reasoning Spectacular, Act 1.
course correction. Hold it, Mr. Sholmes.
Alright, here we go.
Careful observation of the victim reveals to us the events that transpired in this disconsolate room last night. Foam at the mouth of the deceased clearly indicates the use of poison. Next to the victim, we notice a large dining plate, which contains, you will observe, 1/2 of a sizable bar of soap. Meaningful, indubitably. Why is this soap set so purposefully upon the dish? Like the victim's last supper, in fact, yes. Could it be that the man was about to eat it? Of course, the fork reveals the answer.
Well, you can't deny that a fork implies the man was eating something, or about to eat something.
Yes, that's true. If I were to decide to eat soap, I should prefer to use a fork than to attempt with it with chopsticks. And of course, only 1/2 of the bar of soap is left on the plate. But might there not be some other explanation? Something material that proves whether or not the man really ate some soap?
Alright, I can't look like left and right. Or I can't look up and down. Soap, teacup. Do you think he was drinking the tea with the soap? The cup's empty, so there's no way of knowing. Ah, how about this for an idea? Perhaps the cup was full of water, and he was dissolving soap in it so he could gulp as much as possible. Please remember that he may not actually have been the soap lover that he's made out to be. History. That's the fork, so it's obviously not fork. Let's see. It's only showing the teacup.
Take that!
Okay, cool.
Here we have an empty teacup with an arm's reach of the victim. Clearly, if poison was the cause of death, the possibility that was administered in this drink can't be overlooked. My dear fellow, possibilities are endless. The question we are currently pondering is whether or not the vivacious-looking victim ate the soap.
I might need your help with this, Captain Chips. Can you get the guide out?
Until we have established that, I suggest you keep your possibilities to yourself.
It looks like I was getting ahead of myself. Vivacious might not be the most appropriate term to describe a dead man, Mr. Sholmes. Oh, I wanted to save it, though. Damn it.
Some soap on a plate and a fork in hand. Even so, surely you wouldn't try to eat soap, no matter how hungry you were.
Alright, here we go.
That's what we must determine. Was the victim eating soap when he died or not? So we can establish that with some certainty. We shan't make any progress. Talk about a slippery problem.
Floor to the right. Fork. Oh, I didn't even see this.
Take that!
Didn't see it. Didn't see it.
Could it be that the man was about to eat it? Of course, the other piece of soap reveals the answer. It being the other half of the soap on the table, in short, the victim was not eating soap at all. But it's obvious, really, for no depth of hunger could drive any man to attempt to eat soap. Even I, with my unquenchable thirst for practical knowledge, took only a single bite. But that begs the question of how the man was poisoned, because there's no sign of any food on the table. An excellent observation, Mr. Naruhodo, and one that furnishes us with the answer we seek. For London's foul soap is besmirched by foul poison. Yes, the victim's life was claimed by poison that tainted the contents of the plate. Mr. Sholmes is still pushing the soap argument, then. Perhaps he's suggesting the man licked the soap rather than ate it. If soap in London is that poisonous, I don't think I'd want to be washing my hands in it, but there are no signs of any food in this room at all. Save the game. Yes, we will now be saving the game at every single moment. Of course, food isn't the only thing that passes people's lips, is it? Now would it be the teacup? Is there something there? Contents of the plate. Contents of the plate. What about that? Yes, a Western vessel for the serving of infusions of dried tea leaves. It's a teacup, Mr. Naruhodo, as you well know. Stop putting on airs. And it's empty. Ah, so we've already established that the victim wasn't eating soap when he died. However, the significance evidence to suggest that he was drinking tea. My thoughts exactly. Teacup now, do you think? I do not see anything else of interest here. This isn't the first poison we've had in the game.
Nope. We've seen plenty of cases.
Take that!
Now it's Teacup.
Yes, the victim's life was claimed by poison that tainted the teacup. Indeed, the cups have been the vessel of choice for practicing poisoners over the centuries. And it would appear that this victim drank every last drop. There's no sign of food anywhere in the room. Which leads us to the immutable conclusion. The cause of death was clearly intoxication due to the ingestion of poison contained in this teacup.
Yay. Solved.
The cause of death identified, we proceed to Act 2, where we ponder the next question. Was this suicide or murder?
Oh.
The audience will recall that the death occurred during the victim's last supper. Did the man dine and die alone? The single teacup suggests the answer. Ah, the Western vessel for infused hot drinks again. It's already featured heavily in our deductions so far. Yes, we can imagine that shortly before his death, Mr. Shamsphere was having a drink of tea. There would be nothing remarkable about that, but what troubles me is Mr. Natsume's reaction when he heard Mr. Sholmes suggest it. There's more to this deduction than it seems. We must closely examine the scene of the crime again for some more clues. Alright. Can't examine that still, for some reason. Other teacup. It's another Western vessel for the infused. It's a teacup! And it too is empty. Given that he's actually holding this in one of his hands, you can assume that this is the cup from which Mr. Shamsphere was actually drinking. But if that's the case, this changes everything. Everything we've deduced up to now is turned on its head. I have a bad feeling about this. I almost don't want to say it. Yes, I know exactly how you feel.
Take that!
Game's interface was covering it.
I guess so.
Did the man dine and die alone? The other teacup suggests the answer. Yes, there were two teacups in this room all along. Ah! In other words, this is a strong indication that at the victim's last supper, there was a guest present. At the very least, we can say now with certainty that somebody else was here in this room last night taking tea with the victim.
Well, what are you talking about?
Utterly, unbelievably, unjustly unreasonable. To draw a conclusion on such meager evidence would be foolish, however, certainly, in which case what more can we deduce about this possible guest at the table? Well, allow me to lift the veil of doubt, my dear fellow. Do you mean to say you know exactly what was in this room at the time of the victim's death? Indeed, what reveals the answer, of course, is the broken lock. I'm not sure I like where this deduction is going now. I'm afraid it's too late to go back to the halcyon days of eating too much soap. But the identity of the guest who was here last night when the victim passed away is something I have a very bad feeling about.
Oh boy.
Should I be concerned, guys? Well, you can try to ignore your feelings, but we cannot ignore the truth, Mr. Naruhodo. No, I suppose not. Time to look around again. Alright. Broken lock. That's what he said, right? There's a candle. What else have we got? Eyeglasses? Nope, that's not a thing.
we have these books as well. At first glance, it seems that the only things in this room are the makeshift stage and the costumes. I overlooked these 3 books initially. Wonder what they are. Let's see. The titles read The Picture of Monsieur Le Canterbury Yearnings and A Meal for Gabrielle. Wait, I'm sure I've heard those titles before. It could just be an incredible coincidence, but they're the exact same 3 books that Mr. Natsumi purchased the other day. What? Yes, on the day of the unfortunate incident when Miss Green was stabbed. So Seki-san had just been to a bookshop and bought them, that's right. And now those 3 titles are here in the room of the victim, and Mr. Natsumi claims never have been here before. What does this mean, do you think? I really don't know what to make of it.
Well, should I, guys? I don't want to. Can we just do the bottle?
Take that!
There.
Indeed, what reveals the answer, of course, is the pile of familiar books. Quite so. It's more coincidence that these 3 titles are here in this room. It's the link to the truth. Ah! Mr. Natsumi, you purchased these books 4 days ago at a second-hand bookshop. But that's just coincidence. In that case, you will be able to bring the same 3 titles from your own room, will you not? This very moment. No, never, non-negotiable. If you can't bring your own copies here, it proves that these 3 books are in fact yours. Link? Yeah, it's Link. Link's the one that did it. Having purchased the book 4 days ago and returned to your lodgings, you were arrested the very next day. So you could conceivably have brought the books here on that evening, but you never mentioned that. In other words, you could only have brought these 3 books here to the victim's room. Nice poses. Last night, having returned to your lodgings after the trial concluded at the Old Bailey. In short, there is only one possible conclusion. The victim died here in this room last night as a result of poisoning. And that same night, the victim had a visitor. And that visitor was you, Mr. Sosuke Natsumi. Thus concludes the final act of Herlock Sholmes' great deduction.
Oh boy. That's probably not good.
Posing. Not again. Well then, Mr. Natsumi, it would appear you're gonna have to accompany me down to the yard. Again. But wait! Hold your horses! Yes? The door, key, locked, entry, exit, entirely impossible. He's so flustered he's being even stranger than normal. What? You think that's an alibi? You could have just made a copy. What? You live in the same building after all. You would have plenty of opportunity, I'm sure. But... Mr. Misery Me! Sorry, sir. You'll get your chance to give your side of the story later. The facts speak for themselves, Mr. Mustache.
Some real posers here.
For sure. Are you horrible Herlock Sholmes? Really has found himself an arch-rival now, hasn't he? Come on now, no dilly-dallying. Outside, there's a carriage waiting. Locum student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire. I never imagined I'd be in this position again, but... You have to help me, please, please. I'm innocent. Alright, I understand. We'll come to your cell later and talk about it. And one more thing. Oh, yes? My poor little kitty cat. Please give him some of his breakfast for me. And so, his evil curse still apparently unbroken, so Seki-san found himself once again on the prime suspect in a case of murder. Thanks to the incriminating deduction of the great detective. My dear fellow, that honor belongs to you. Cat sitting. We're cat sitting. Well, at least that means Inspector Gregson is no longer here. He can examine the crime scene in more detail now. Yes, that's right. And of course, what? Have you forgotten what the inspector mentioned before? It was the landlord, Mr. Garadeb, who discovered Mr. Shamsphere. Ah, Mr. John Garadeb, yes. Expect we could find him in his sitting room at the top floor as usual. Right, we must remember to go and talk to him later then. Well, time to examine things again, guys. Oh, the poor man, so young to die. You suppose it was a very painful death, being poisoned as he was? I don't know. All we can do now is hope that he'll be reborn to a better life. Yes, I suppose you're right. I wonder. Think that putting our hands together in a Japanese prayer will help a British soul? Sorry. I made sure I had a reference at the ready for such an occasion as this, actually. This book is entitled The Beginner's Guide to Praying for the Departed, the British Way. I'll just reread it now. One moment. There's quite a spine on that book, isn't there? You'll begin reading now. We'll be here for a couple days. What's this? It looks like a part of an envelope, I think. Yes, I think you may be right. Perhaps it was torn off when the letter was opened. Is that significant? Well, it's a little out of place, perhaps. When you look around the room, there's no sign of a letter, or the rest of the envelope, in fact, is there? Ah, she's right. And yet, here we have the torn off end of an envelope. It just strikes me as unusual. I agree. We better take this, just in case. Yay, we got a new evidences. Whoever opened this envelope didn't bother with the letter opener or scissors, did they? Yes, whoever opened it was clearly someone with an unrefined temperament, and judging from the angle of the rip here, the person in question must have been right-handed. Miss Susato. I think perhaps someone's been reading too much of the adventures of Herlock Sholmes. You can never read too much of it, Mr. Naruhodo. Never. Never, 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 never. I think that's it for this thing. Unless there's more. What else should we examine, guys? The stage, maybe? This is some sort of makeshift stage, I think, isn't it? Where does the audience sit, though, for the nightly Shakespeare performances? Actors aspiring to the great stage must practice their art, Mr. Naruhodo, with or without an audience. In fact, on the related note, perhaps you should set up a mock bench for the defense in your office. What? Then you could practice your art every single day. I'll think about it, if you promise to don a beard and play the role of the judge. Well, if that would help you achieve your goal. This I have to see. Don't do it. Susato, don't do it. And here we have another disproportionately large machine. This looks like a meter of some kind. Ah, this is a gas meter, I think. Seems that in this district, residents pay for gas as they use it with coins. Ah, I see. Yes, now that you pointed it out, I can see that there's a slot here, just that looks like it would take a coin. So you mean if you put a coin in here... That's right, that would buy you about 2 hours of gas for lights and heating. So, if you were a poor person with no money, you'd have to sleep in the freezing cold? Yes, or if you were a scatterbrain with no change because you forgot to exchange your money at the bank. Thank goodness there's no meter in our office. Sheesh. Living in the past must stink, guys. Ah, one of the teacups that Mr. Shamsphere and his guests drank from last night. But don't go drinking from them, Mr. Naruhodo. There's bitter poison inside. I'm planning on drinking any, don't worry. Anyway, the cups are both empty. That's true. So, one was Mr. Shamsphere's, and the other must be the cup that Mr. Natsumi was drinking from. But Soseki-san wasn't poisoned, of course. Perhaps we should take these so we can examine them in more detail later. Cool. Cool. We'll examine this real quick. As we've seen from the outside, the window is completely bricked up. A vestige of the former window tax that Britons have to pay. Strange things they used to tax in Great Britain. I mean, making people pay for the number of windows they have in a property, it's extraordinary. It's heartbreaking to think that of the poor having to block up their windows just to avoid an unaffordable tax. Oh, what is it, Mr. Sato? If you look closely, a number of the bricks are loose. Oh yeah, some are loose. Oh yes, it looks as though an amateur has broken out a few of them just here. Was Mr. Shamsphere who did it, I wonder? Being the lodger renting this room? Ah, look at this, Mr. Naruhodo. On the outside, there's a little ledge, and there's something on it. What? Outside? Yeah, flippin' soap. Brr, it's so cold outside, you can feel it through this gap. If it snow all last night, it would be cold. But more importantly, what is on the ledge out there? What are those snow-covered lumps? It's more bars of soap. Soap? What are bars of soap doing lined up on a ledge outside the window? I have no idea. But the pair of them look rather charming like that. Still, that's very strange, isn't it? Bars of soap lined up outside the window. I think perhaps we should take one. There are two after all. Oh dear, I suppose we could. Oh, what's this? Look here at this soap. Ah. Do you see? In the middle there, there's a patch that's a different color. It's sort of transparent, but some sort of fancy design, I suppose. Only in Great Britain. Looks like the Hinomaru flag of Japan, doesn't it? How wonderful. Probably a very expensive brand. Expensive? Then what's it doing in this ramshackle old room?
Good night, Minim. See you tomorrow for more craziness.
Looks like you're having a good snoop around, eh? Let me examine these real quick. There's some cracks on these glasses. This is the teacup from which Mr. Natsumi was drinking. Yes, unlike the other one, the inside of this cup is completely clean. Suppose he must have drunk the contents before the tea had a chance to leave a mark. I always gulp it down too. Sorry, Mr. Naruhodo? Well, if you just sip it little by little, it goes cold. Clearly I shall have to instruct you the proper way to take tea. No tea ring at the top of Mr. Natsumi's cup.
Psst. Some well-warmed teacups. Is it the 2 hour or 3 hours?
That would be 3 hours.
A 3-hour stream.
This must be the cup that Mr. Shamsphere was drinking from then. It's stained on the glass, it's stained on the inside. Tea does that, I'm afraid, even green tea. Oh really? Never noticed before. You never noticed? Well, I never leave it in the cup long enough to leave a mark. I like to gulp it down. Drink tea while it's hot, that's the Japanese way, isn't it? Oh dear, so many people seem to have the wrong idea about our culture, and most of them are Japanese.
What do you mean?
What about under? Guys. On the underside of this one, it says who did it.
Wow, you'll go then.
Good night. Let's examine this boy too. This teacup. This part is a different color. It's an exquisite design, isn't it? Trust the British to turn a boring bar of soap into something special. I quite like it. It reminds me of the Hinomaru design of the Japanese flag. I expect this is rather expensive soap. That doesn't seem likely, given who it belongs to.
What does it mean?
Inspector Gregson, but back so soon? After I threw that little Japanese fella in the clink, I went and reported this to the investigation division. In 5 minutes' time, this place will be cordoned off by the yard. Oh, I see. Very well. We'd better be leaving then. Poor Mr. Natsumi must be feeling very low, being back in the cell again so soon. I'm sure. We should probably go and...
Alright, I'm done, guys. I'm done. Bye. That's the end of the stream, and that's the end of this game. I'm done.
I'm quit. I'm done.
What's wrong, Mr. Naruhodo? Yeah! Out, brief candle, life's but a walking shadow, a poor player that struts and frets his hour upon the stage, and then is heard no more. Now, how soundeth the next part?
It is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing.
Indeed, oh happy day! What?
Walking Dead!
Nope.
The fella isn't dead at all?
What was that nonsense he was saying, though? I think, yes, it was from William Shakespeare's Macbeth. A soliloquy from Act 5, Scene 5, Shakespeare. It's a pretty good reinterpretation of Shakespeare after.
So it was, that the victim, Mr. William Shamsphere, came back to life. If the man had indeed been poisoned, it transpired that it hadn't killed him. He was taken by emergency carriage to a nearby hospital for treatment, and Inspector Gregson evicted us from the scene of the crime, whatever that now was. I don't like this, guys. I don't like any of this right now.
That's terrifying. Whatever do you think will happen now?
Good question.
What a strange situation for Mr. Natsumi, arrested for murder, but then the victim comes back to life. I think perhaps the victim was never dead in the first place. It seems very likely that Mr. Shamsphere did consume poison, as we deduced. But was it an accident, attempted suicide, or attempted murder? Until the truth can be established, I imagine the police will keep Mr. Natsumi in custody.
I suppose so. Let's hope it doesn't come to anything more than a night in the cells.
Oh, what's this?
Yep, I see that.
What's that man doing over there? Looks like he's trying to see into Soseki-san's lodgings. Is something wrong, Mr. Naruhodo? Excuse me, could we have a word?
Ah.
He just ran off. I feel sure that I've seen that man somewhere before. Where was it? I do too, but I don't remember.
I deem this case too scary, guys. God, that genuinely frightened me.
Oh man. New location. 2 new locations. Shall we head to, the Garrideb's room?
Just to see if anyone's there.
Here we are again, the eccentric landlord's eccentric top-floor abode. We're here because Mr. Garrideb's the one who discovered the incident this morning, don't forget.
Hey, there he is. You chaps, eh?
Yes, good morning, sir.
Thank you for your cooperation in court yesterday.
It was quite a trial.
As much for Mr. Garrideb as anyone, really. Came straight back here after all that business at the Bailey yesterday. Didn't expect to wake up to more Bailey nonsense this morning.
I wonder if you wouldn't mind telling us exactly what happened, Mr. Garrideb.
Yes, I suppose you'd like to know all about that. All about that dead loss of an actor chap in the ground floor room.
Those were exactly Inspector Gregson's words, weren't they?
BRB? Okay. Okay.
Alright.
Let us converse.
It must have been a real shock for you this morning. I hear that you discovered what had happened.
Ah, well, that hopeless actor chap rises at 5 o'clock sharp every morning without fail. But at 5:30 this morning, he still hadn't lit the gas. So I went down and knocked on his door, but no bally answer.
And that's when you broke into his room by kicking down the door?
Well, I called on that rum-looking Japanese chap to do the grunt work, of course.
Wasn't it a little premature to kick the door down? The man could have just overslept by half an hour. That's very true, Mr. Naruhodo. If 30 minutes oversleeping warranted such behavior, I'd have to kick your door down every morning.
Well, you know, better to be safe than sorry and all that.
Is it just me, or is he avoiding our gaze now all of a sudden? Except that it was a sorry situation indeed that you found on the far side of the door.
The victim's name is Mr. Shamspear, I believe. Is that right? Yes, William Shamspear. Took the ground floor room 3 months ago now.
And how would you describe him?
In a word, destitute.
Destitute?
Well, let's face it, the only redeeming feature of that room is the cheap rent. Anyone wanting to live in a place like that is either broke or has a bally screw loose.
So hard to choose which category Soseki-san would fall into. Mr. Naruhodo, that's a little rude.
He was doing research as well.
Research? Into what?
Shakespeare, of course. Shakespeare. Reads a few plays on the old bard himself, you know? Romeo and Hamlet and all that. Romeo and Hamlet.
Yes, William Shakespeare's in England's most highly regarded classical playwright and author. He's known as Sao in Japanese, as you know, and many of his works have already been translated. Seems incredible that Shakespeare was shortened to Sao, though. Someone was too heavy-handed there. There were a lot of costumes in the victim's room, actually, weren't there? Of course, Mr. Natsumi is a scholar of English literature as well. I imagine he and Mr. Shamspear would have had much in common. Shakespeare interpretation disagreement leads to shocking murder. Let's hope it's not that. Mr. Naruhodo? Really? How rude. How rude! After Mr. Natsumi's trial yesterday, you came straight back here, I believe, didn't you? Did you notice anything strange between then and this morning?
Well now, must have been about 6 in the evening by the time I got home. Snow was coming down rather heavily, as I remember. It was completely dark already. That failed actor chap was out at the time.
Mr. Garadeb noticed there was no light from his room or something, I suppose.
Couldn't summon the energy for anything much, so I just sat in front of the fire up there. It was after 8 before the Shamspear got back, and the chap was up until past 1 in the morning, I'll have you know. Suppose he met his end some time after that. I was asleep by then, so I'm rather in the dark there.
Well, thank you. That was very illuminating. Is everything alright, Miss Susato? Well, I was just thinking it's a little strange, that's all. Mr. Garadeb, you were up here in your room all evening, if I understood correctly?
Not a big fan of stairs, not with this blasted leg.
Then, how is it that you seem to know? The precise movements of your tenant on the ground floor, I mean.
Ah!
That's a very good point. I can't imagine that you could hear noises from the ground floor all the way up here. Does this old man like to spy on his tenants? Is that it?
I say, I know what you're thinking, and it's a bally outrage. I'm ex-military, don't you know? I don't go around spying on my tenants. Why would I?
And how did you know, Mr. Garadeb?
It's the gas, woman. The gas tells me everything.
The gas? Speaking gas? What on earth do you mean, sir? How can the gas tell you anything, let alone everything?
Well, as you're probably aware, the gas is supplied to the building by pipes.
Yes, I more or less worked that out. Every room in the building is connected by a single pipe to the gas main outside, and the gas company supplies gas to properties via the main. Yes, I understand that too. Let me see if I can explain. Let's say that I was to light the gas lamps up here. What do you suppose would happen? Well, obviously the room would get brighter.
Exactly, but at the same time, the lights in all the other rooms of the house would dim for a moment. What? They dim? Why?
Perhaps it's because when you light a gas lamp, it briefly uses more gas than usual. And that reduces the amount of gas in the pipe for the other lamps that are connected to it? That might explain why the other lamps dim momentarily, might it?
Yes, of course, because everything is connected to a single supply pipe.
Is this supposed to happen, though? It sounds rather undesirable.
Jolly good point. Fact is, the gas company's pipes in these parts are pretty hopeless. That's long worn out, and barely got any gas in them to start with. Opposite's also true, of course. Extinguish the lamps up here and they glow brighter in the rest of the house.
Ah, right, I see. So by watching the flickering of the lamps in one room, you can determine what's happening elsewhere.
You've got it.
Oh, of course, because when people come back home in the evening, and before they go to sleep at night, what they're guaranteed to do is either light or pull out their lamps and fires. Clever. In point of fact, the room on the ground floor and the one above it is usually... it use slightly different amounts of gas.
Watching the light in here closely, I can work out almost exactly what's going on in the whole house.
Gosh, that's fascinating, Mr. Garrideb. Absolutely fascinating.
Righto. Oh well, nothing to it really.
And I can't really see that it's going to help us with the case either. I'd like to know is why Mr. Garrideb is so interested in what his tenants are up to in the first place. Feels like there's more to it than the idle curiosity. Well, we've done as much investigating here as we can, I think.
Perhaps we ought to go to the prison and speak with Mr. Natsumi again.
A good idea. By the way, Captain Chips, did you notice something very specific? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's more than double how many places we could visit in Case 2 in the last game. Wow! What an honor this is. Look, Mr. Naruhodo. Mr. Natsumi, have the police finished questioning you now?
Welcome, student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire.
Oh, yes? What is he? Tell me, is he a ghost? Is he here to haunt me? Let me guess, you're talking about Mr. Sholmes. He actually calls himself a great detective, Mr. Natsumi, not a ghost. But his diabolic deductions, they're not of this world. They've left me. Ah, cursed, I'm cursed, I tell you. Well, that sort of hurts. Credit where credit is due, Mr. Naruhodo. You were heavily involved in his deductions too. Yes, moving on. We have some wonderful news.
Oh?
The victim that we all thought was dead has come back to life again. Now, in the absolutely worst case, you could only be tried for attempted murder. That's great, isn't it, Mr. Natsumi?
It's terrible!
Oh.
I'm stuck in this cell, suffering for some silly, wrong another sec.
Hey, still alive? Oh yeah. I always go for 3 hours each and every night. And, you missed something crazy, Kuna. You missed something very, something that actually scared me. But yes, welcome back. I'm alive and live.
You did it, didn't you? Confess, you're a killer. Why the mustache?
Constant questions.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Ah, that selfish shyster. Make up your mind. Are you dead or alive? If you were going to come back to life, why bother dying? Wickedly, wishy-washy, William.
Well, it seems likely that Mr. Shamspear was never actually dead in the first place. Yes, that might make sense, and I'm pleased that he's alive, of course. Our lively debate last night was much fun. I'd be sad to think it was our last. Oh! Oops. Mr. Natsumi? Does this mean that you did see the victim last night? You met with Mr. Shamspear, didn't you?
I'm not saying another word. I demand to have a lawyer present.
What do you think I am? Please, Mr. Natsumi, we need to hear your side of the story.
Ugh, why am I cursed like this?
Yeah, what's going on here, pal?
Can you tell us exactly what happened last night then, Mr. Natsumi?
There's nothing to tell. But, Mr. Naruhodo Esquire, I'm eternally grateful to you for helping me with that accursed case yesterday. The case that saw poor Miss Green hospitalized after she ended up with a knife in her back.
It's hard to believe that was only yesterday.
After the trial was over, I trudged my weary way back to my lowly lodgings.
And that evening, at past 9, it must have been, I visited Mr. Shamspear. So, you did go to the victim's room then?
As we feared.
I didn't do anything wrong. I've never been to his room before. It was the first time.
Then, what made you decide to go?
I bumped into him when I arrived back at the house. We got chatting, and it developed into a discussion, but he had to go out, so I bade him farewell.
That ties in with what Mr. Garridub said, that the victim went out and came back after 8.
We met again later that evening, at around 9 or just after, when I took him some nice tea I brewed as a gift.
So it was you who brought the tea that had clearly been drunk at the scene, then? And I suppose you were discussing the works of Shakespeare, were you?
Yes, that's right. That's exactly right. Romeo and Juliet. Who was the stronger? It was a delightful debate.
I'm sure.
Such a stimulating subject, Shakespeare.
And the debate came very heated, so you slipped poison into Mr. Shamspear's tea?
No, never, not at all. Team Juliet won. That was me. And when I left his room, the flamboyant fellow was fighting fit. I swear it, categorically.
Cursed existence. Mr. Natsumi, you often say the same thing about yourself, I've noticed. That you have a cursed existence.
I'm sure I've mentioned this to you before, but I've been here in Great Britain for a year now, and in that time, I've learned that it's no place for me.
It can be very trying to live in a foreign land and adapt to the ways of another culture.
There are foreigners everywhere I look, and they all stare at me, they all laugh. That's the impression I get whenever I go out. It makes me scared to leave my room. Which is why I've become a recluse. But even in my room, I find no respite from my fears. I've moved more times than I can remember, and then, 1 week ago, I moved into Briar Road. But why? I mean, why did you choose that place? It doesn't seem very comfortable. Because the rent is cheap. I have so little money, it spoke to me.
That rent? The rent?
Obviously, there's a reason why it's cheap. Because the room is cursed.
Cursed?
Cursed how? The previous occupant, the man who lived there before I took the room, died there.
Oh no!
He was only a young man, but one morning he was found dead and no one could explain why. Surely no one would want to live in a room with a history like that. I didn't. When the letting agent recommended the place, I wavered.
But I want books, and books cost money. A horrible history is a small price to pay.
When I realized it would mean I could buy more books, I signed the lease like lightning. Brave, or blinkered. But after I moved in, I soon came to realize what I had done. I realized how horrible that room's history really was.
Gosh, was it really so awful?
Horrible history.
How did the room's horrible history affect you, Mr. Natsumi? What happened?
At first, it was just a feeling. The feeling of beady eyes boring into my back, watching me.
Do you think that might have been your mind playing tricks on you?
No. My mind doesn't know any tricks. It was someone else. It's been one long nightmare ever since I was given the keys to the place.
A nightmare? You've been having bad dreams, you mean?
All the souls who died in that room lean over me in my sleep and try to strangle me.
That really is horrible.
And now I come to think of it, it happened again last night too.
The very same night that Mr. Shamspear was writhing in agony from the poison in his body.
I was on the verge of being suffocated silently by those miserable spirits in my room.
You simply must move out of that room as soon as possible.
Yes, you're right, I know it, and that's why... I'm already searching for the next room with a history to call home.
Or just go home. I think perhaps you should try to avoid accommodation with any kind of history at all. Otherwise, I'm scared that you yourself may become history. Whew, Susato-san knows how to make the man listen. Of course, Mr. Lord of the Manor is worried about the curse on my room as well. You mean Mr. Garrideb? Yes, he knows that if people keep dying there, he'll never be able to rent it out again. Oh, that's true. I for one wouldn't go near the place. Ah, perhaps. That may explain why the landlord pays so much attention to the gas lamps and his tenants' movements. You mean because he's worried about their well-being? Doesn't seem to have any unusual keen interest in the amount of gas in the pipes. There must be a reason why he keeps such close tabs on the occupants of his let rooms. What do you mean he pays so much attention to the gas lamps? Oh dear, no, it's nothing to do with you, Mr. Natsumi. Please, forget I said anything. Oh, now you're talking about me behind my back as well. What's important is that Mr. Shamspear isn't in fact dead at all. Once he's come around and able to tell us what happened, we'll be able to get you released. Yes, please. Oh, I do hope you're right. Ahem, excuse me. Inspector Gregson.
I couldn't help overhearing what you just said, and on that note, I have some good news and some bad news. Oh no.
Oh,
which do you want first? Always, every time, the bad news comes first. When hope is all you have, hold on to it. That's my guiding principle. Right, well, in that case, the good news it is. Huh? Sorry, but it's just a lot easier to explain everything that way.
Then why did you ask me my preference?
As you might have heard, the victim, Mr. Shamspear, was just unconscious. He's come around now.
Yes, we saw it happen in all its terrifying glory.
He's still being treated by the doctors, but we managed to get a written statement from him already.
Oh, isn't that wonderful, Mr. Natsumi? Oh, thank goodness, it's all over then. I can leave this sombre cell.
Sorry, no, that's not on the cards.
What? Why ever not, Inspector?
Mr. Shamspear has implicated someone as being responsible for what happened last night.
Implicated someone? Oh dear.
You.
You don't mean...
I'm sorry to say I do, yes. He's pointed his finger at you, Mr. Natsumi.
Arrgh!
By sweet poison did he seeketh to end my life, that wicked caitiff Soseki Natsumi.
No!
So I'm afraid you'll be appearing in court as planned. You'll be wanting to make the necessary preparations.
No! And so, once again, Soseki-san found himself having to take the dock in the Old Bailey. Whether his room was haunted or whether he was just terribly unlucky, I knew I had no choice. The following day, I would represent him in court,
and do my utmost to break the curse that blighted him.
Hey, is it court time again, guys? For a couple more minutes?
Let's do it. And most importantly, who will be the jurors?
Will there be new people or old people? The Old Bailey. The place always makes me feel strange. I seem to get chills down my spine and break out in a nervous sweat all the time. All at the time. Same time. Well, I didn't think I'd be back here so soon. That's my line.
Good morning.
Ah, good morning, Mr. Natsumi. We're about to find out. Yep.
It was only 2 days ago that I was declared not guilty here.
Yes, we somehow managed to prove he didn't stab Miss Green in the back.
But now this! Another morning, another murder, and here I am again in this hellhole. Can't keep coming to court.
I'm beginning to think he's right. It really does seem as though he's cursed. Mr. Naruhodo, I'm afraid I have bad news. Oh. Mr. Natsumi, good morning. Yes, morning.
So, here we are again.
Yes, again.
Judicial Assistant Miss Mikotoba Esquires, what's the bad news? Oh dear, you heard, didn't you?
If you come in shouting at the top of your voice,
People can't help hearing what you say.
oh, I am sorry. You've done nothing wrong, Miss Susato. Now, what is it? Well, it seems that the prosecution in today's trial will be led by Lord Barak Van Zeeks. Van Zeeks?
God! Oh no! Oh no, no!
The so-called Reaper of the Bailey, the most legendary prosecutor in the land. In this trial 2 days ago, he pursued Soseki-san and I relentlessly. Of course, by the skin of our teeth, we managed to pull through, but still.
First time we repeated a rival.
Yeah, definitely. Makes me wonder how the other 3 cases are gonna go. Perhaps Mr. Natsumi's acquittal in the last trial wasn't the end of the matter after all. Yes, I know what you're thinking. The legend of the Reaper of that says, nothing can save a person in the dock when Lord Van Zeeks is the prosecutor.
Oh no.
That even if that person is found not guilty, the accused will meet a mysterious end one way or another. And we've experienced it firsthand. A man we successfully defended met a most terrifying end after his acquittal, right here in the Old Bailey.
Do I have to put up with those ice-cold eyes boring into my soul again? Cursed be the evil spirits and now by the Reaper. Pair of petrifying perils, potentially.
Well, if he's potentially... At least you appear to have hope, Mr. Natsumi.
Welcome, student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire.
Ah, yes?
I'm innocent. You have to believe me.
You're more than anyone now. Don't worry. I'll be your steadfast ally every step of the way this battle. I promise. And this promise is to be a hard battle, I fear. Well, the trial is scheduled to begin shortly. We should move into the courtroom.
Let's go.
Oh yes, I forgot to say. I'm afraid he won't be able to make it. Mr. Sholmes, I mean. That's probably for the best. Oh, if he were here, I might be tempted to rely on his help, and that could be seen as a weakness. If Lord Van Zeeks were to notice, he'd prey on it mercilessly. At least that's my gut feeling. Mr. Naruhodo.
You're right. Yes, you're so right.
Oh, well said, locum student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire. Well said.
I swear on this sword at my side and on the spirit of Kazuma that it harbors. I'll show him what a Japanese lawyer can do. I'll set you free. With honor. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. And here we go. Were those the same people? In his name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session. I now call upon the counsels for the prosecution and defense to declare their willingness to proceed. The prosecution is ready. The defense is ready, my lord. Readiness for the trial, my learned Nipponese friend, is not what the defense needs. What you need is readiness for your inevitable defeat. It's not just in my imagination, it's really there. Lord Van Zeeks has such an animosity towards us Japanese for some reason. It was some time ago now that he first became known as the Reaper of the Bailey, I believe. These past few years he hasn't appeared in court at all. Yet now he's back in the courtroom, though for some reason, only when I'm defending. This Reaper, with his curious disdain for us Japanese, is a prosecutor shrouded in mystery. Still, this isn't the time to be pondering that. I have to concentrate on Soseki-san's trial. Furthermore, I now call upon the 6 ladies and gentlemen of the jury. You have been chosen at random to represent the will of the people in this trial. Are you ready to fulfill your duty? Absolutely. I had a feeling this larrikin was an innocent before.
I must say that I feel especially ruthless on days when my head refuses to sit right. Oh, well, I'd rather like how you're wearing your hat. I think the ruthless look is very fetching, actually. I need to be somewhere at 10 o'clock. I have a very important meeting. Let's make this quick.
Okay, she's new. I couldn't agree more. Need to take home 5 bob tonight or the missus will go through the roof. Oh, may the Lord show us all the light here and lead his flock to the right to a righteous verdict.
The British jury system is so very different to our own, isn't it? It's quite extraordinary to think that the power of judgment is in the hands of 6 members of the public.
Last 2 are repeats.
And that the judge can only pass sentence when all jurors are in agreement about the defendant's guilt. 6 citizens of London chosen at random, or at least that's the idea.
The prosecution would draw attention to the fact that the accused was on trial here but 2 days ago. Accordingly, where possible, the same jurors have been asked to return for duty today. Very well, let us commence the trial. Lord Van Zeeks, your opening statement, please. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, it is not the intent of the prosecution to cast doubt over your past decisions. However, the innocent verdict afforded to this eccentric Nipponese before has had dire consequences. Did the accused repent for his wrongdoing in that affair?
Far from it.
Instead, he used his freedom to perpetrate a most blood-curdling crime, namely that of the attempted murder of his neighboring lodger, an innocent Englishman. To explain the circumstances of the crime, the prosecution calls its first witness to the stand. The detective responsible for investigating the scene and the accused himself. Witnesses, your names and occupations, please. Yes, sir. Tobias Gregson, Detective Inspector at Scotland Yard's Homicide Division.
Soseki Natsumi from the Empire of Japan. My government ordered me to come here as a student to study your language and culture.
Mr. Natsumi?
Yes, my lord. Sir.
I'm quite sure I'm not mistaken that you swore an oath never to set foot in my courtroom again. I remember it as if it were yesterday. The day before, in fact, my lord, but close enough. Believe me, this is the last place I want to be. Inspector, let's hear from you first. Explain the case for the court. Right you are, sir.
Bro, be right back. Oh, you're being right back?
Okay. The incident occurred at the Garadeb household where the defendant had lodgings. In the ground floor room of the victim, by Mr. William Shamspeare. The defendant had already admitted to visiting the victim on the night in question. Mr. Shamspeare collapsed in his room as a result of poisoning by strychnine. He was found the following morning when the landlord suspected something was wrong. Broke down the door. This means, I presume, that the door to the victim's room was locked at the time of the incident? Correct, my lord. It was locked from the inside, making entry to or exit from the room impossible. Although the victim, Mr. Shamspeare, lives to tell the tale, he very nearly didn't. The man was halfway to heaven when he first found him. I was the first officer on the scene, my lord. And I have a photographic print here that I took at the time to show how it looked. Back? Welcome back. Yes, a chilling scene indeed. The man looked very much deceased. That's right. Everyone present believed that's exactly what he was. Very well. I shall accept this photographic print as evidence for the court. Now then, Mr. Natsumi.
Yes.
As the defendant, do you have anything to say at this juncture? They're haunted. haunted by evil spirits. Good gracious, what's haunted? My lodgings! There's been a whole series of strange happenings in my lodgings. The tenant before me died in mysterious circumstances. A woman was stabbed by no one on the street outside. My neighbor was poisoned. And me? What about me? I've nearly been killed countless times. Killed, Mr. Natsumi? How? Even on that fateful night it happened. When I returned from Mr. Shamspeare's room, I lit my gas stove and climbed into bed. But before long, the stove went out, and somebody tried to kill me. You must always extinguish all fires before retiring for the night, Mr. Natsumi. But it's so cold, my runny nose would freeze. The point is, I didn't poison my neighbor. Oh, why am I being accused of this? Why is my existence so cursed? Thank you, witnesses. I believe I have a reasonably clear picture of events. If I could raise one more point, my lord. One more. Conclusive point. Conclusive? Go on. Fortunately, the victim, Mr. Shamspeare, has regained consciousness after his ordeal, and he has named the true culprit. The poison consumed by the victim was administered in a cup of tea that he drank on the night in question. Tea, my lord, that was brought to the victim's room by the accused. The accused? Good grief! Order! Order! Yes, that's the crux of this whole case. If Soseki-san is innocent, then why? Why has the victim accused him? Well, Mr. Natsumi, what have you to say to this accusation? That's evening. Yes, I did take some freshly brewed tea with me when I visited Mr. Shamspeare's room as a gift. The public waters pump outside always freezes at night, so I brought bottled water especially to make it. And the result, and this is the result, never I will touch tea again. Never! The public pump was frozen, you say? That's not information we've heard before. That will do. Thank you. Now, according to our laws, the defense must have the opportunity to cross-examine witnesses at least once. Therefore, I call upon these witnesses now for a formal testimony. I presume the prosecution has no objection. None whatsoever, my lord. Good. Then you will give us your account of events on the night in question to the court now. Yeah. Yes, my lord! Alright, here we go. It was around 9 o'clock that evening when I visited my neighbor, and I took some tea with me as a gift. We had a heated literary debate over a nice hot tea drink, after which I went back to my room at around 11. My tea was completely harmless. How he couldn't have locked the door behind me otherwise, could he? Dryers take some time to have an effect on the body. People don't keel over immediately after taking it. The victim would have been perfectly able to lock the door after the guest left. The argument still stands. Yes, I see. It all seems relatively straightforward. Excuse me, but that testimony does raise one rather crucial point, I think. Mr. Natsumi claims his tea to have been harmless. Presumably, though, the teacups have been examined for traces of the poison, haven't they? Why didn't I think of that? Well, as it happens, no. We haven't been able to. Did I hear you correctly, Inspector? Scotland Yard has failed to examine the suspected substance? How could you have overlooked something so important? Isn't that the first thing you should have done? My learned Nipponese friend is falsely incensed. The inspector said Scotland Yard was unable to examine the tea, not that it was overlooked. Unable? Why? It's simple enough. There was none left, not a drop. Someone must have been very thirsty indeed. With current scientific techniques, it's not possible to test for poison under such circumstances. We only need a drop, but that one drop doesn't actually have to exist, funnily enough. The lack of examination notwithstanding, it appears nothing other than the tea passed the victim's lips on the night in question. I see. Thank you. The matter is clear. Cast your eyes over the jury, my learned friend. What? You can see it in their faces, I'm sure. The recognition of your accuser's guilt. Your client's fate is all but sealed. In mere moments from now, you will lose, and your compatriot will be damned for all eternity. He's right. I can feel all 6 of the jurors looking daggers at me. Smack. But I can't let them beat me down. I won't. Counsel for the defense, proceed with your cross-examination. Yes, my lord. Alright, here we go. Time to press everything again. It was around 9 o'clock that evening when I visited my neighbor and took some tea with me as a gift.
Hold it!
Were you and your neighbor good friends then? No, we weren't friends. Not at all, not at all. Never, ever. A simple no would have sufficed. Then, why did you decide to pay him a visit? Mr. Shamspeare fancies himself as having great literary knowledge. As a fellow scholar of English literature, we find much to talk about together. Come now, no Nipponese could understand the finer points in English literature. And on the night in question, that was the topic of conversation as well, I presume? It was the day of my last trial, which I was acquitted. I had just arrived back at my lodgings when I ran into Mr. Shamspeare outside on the street. That was at around 6 o'clock. We exchanged 1 or 2 pleasantries, but it soon turned into a heated discussion. He was on his way out at the time, though. So I promised to visit his room that evening at 9 to continue our debate. But did I have ill intentions? No, not 1, not 2, not any. Not at all. Never, ever. A simple no would have sufficed, I feel. Then tell the court what did happen when you visited the victim's room. We had a heated literary debate over a nice hot drink, after which I went back to my room at around 11.
Hold it!
A literary debate about Shakespeare's works, I think you said, didn't you? Shakespeare? Ah, a very worthy topic of conversation, I must say. Oh yes, my lord. Romeo and Juliet, who was stronger? It was a profoundly pleasurable parley. Romeo and Juliet? Who was stronger? I know I'm going to regret asking this, but how did the debate go? Well, we both agreed that we would reach a conclusion more quickly with a reenactment, so we battled it out, in a Greco-Roman style, naturally. What? Mr. Shamspeare had all sorts of costumes in his room for just such a contest. So when you say a reenactment, you mean you were actually in costume? He as Romeo, I as Juliet, after a vigorous wild tussle. I as Juliet came out on top. A victory I'll cherish forever! Such a specific job as a certain breed of anime fan? What is? Sorry, I was not paying attention to, job titles. I dare not imagine the terrible scene of carnage. The fact remains that it was you who prepared the tea and took it to the victim, correct? Jab, not jab, a specific jab at a certain breed of anime fan. What was the jab? I missed that too. I boiled the water in my room and made a pot to take with me. I heard that he was too poor to have tea himself, you see? It's true, there was no sign of any tea leaves in the man's room. I wanted to do something nice, to be friendly. So why is everyone looking at me with such a suspicion? My tea was harmless, of course it was. And do you have any basis for that statement, witness? Poking fun at anime power scalers. They're discussing whether Romeo or Juliet was more powerful. Oh, anime power scalers. I know not of this thing. But, cool. My tea was completely harmless.
Hold it!
Yes, there was not a drop of tea left in the victim's room anywhere, was there? That's correct. Anyone would think the fellow had never had a pot of tea before. Must have left it dry. Which is a pity, because 1 drop is all we would have needed to analyze it for poison. And you say that you returned home to your room at 11 o'clock, Mr. Natsumi? Yes, definitely. By heaven and earth, I swear it! The landlord was able to verify that, as it happens. He confirmed that the defendant went back to his room at 11 that night. And how was the landlord able to attest to this? He, said it was the lamps, I believe. The lamps, Inspector? When tenants return to their rooms and start using gas, the lamps in other parts of the house flicker. Yes, Mr. Garrideb seems to pay a lot of attention to the comings and goings of his tenants. There's only one key to Mr. Shamspear's room. I know that for certain.
Or just debate which characters from which series could be others in a fight like Death Battle.
Oh, gotcha. I see. So he must have locked the door himself from inside his room. In a minute. Okay. The victim has confirmed that to be the case, yes. So I'm right. My tea was harmless. Completely harmless. If you take poison, you die. Everyone knows that. It's not that simple, I'm afraid.
What do you mean?
Styrazar takes some time to have an effect on the body. People don't keel over immediately after taking it.
Hold it!
How long does it take for symptoms to appear then? According to the coroner I was speaking to at the yard, about 30 minutes after the poison's consumed, and the victim suffers violent convulsions, cramping, and stiffness, and eventually dies from asphyxiation. So there's a 30-minute interval between when the poison is ingested and the onset of symptoms. There seems to be a lot of different types of poison in the world, that's for sure. Oh dear, death by poisoning again. It's always so awful. 30 minutes is a long time. Certainly long enough for the victim to have locked the door behind the accused after he left. You can't deny that, and it further degrades Soseki-san's alibi. You have the medical report from the doctor who examined the victim here, my lord. It spells out really the accused is the only person who could have done it. Very well, the court will add this report to the court record as evidence.
Oh yes, I see it here. Delayed onset of symptoms. Let's see. Small quality of a word I can't pronounce. Toxin effects present 30 minutes after ingestion. Highly likelihood of the substance having been mixed with the tea the victim was drinking. No sample could be obtained for testing. Occurred at 1:30 on 21st of February. Says from the victim's pocket watch that appears to have broken with the man's collapse after a delayed onset of symptoms. No container for the poison was found during the scene. He's a couple years younger than me. Great.
The victim would have been perfectly able to lock the door after his guest left.
The argument still stands.
Hold it!
The argument still stands, you say? This is what Mr. Natsumi has been saying, isn't it? The pair of them drank tea together that night, so if there was poison in it, the victim wouldn't have been able to lock the door after the accused left later on. Exactly. Arg, me and my tea are innocent. Sweet and innocent, I tell you. I'm afraid, sir, that doesn't follow. You see, Styrazar is a slow-acting poison. In other words, it takes time for symptoms to appear. So you could have left the room up to 30 minutes after the victim drank the tea. And as long as you did that, Mr. Shamspear could have locked the door after you'd gone. But no! We drank the tea straight away! The battle over whether the Romeo and Juliet was stronger, that came after the tea. Do you have any evidence to support that statement? In my great homeland, the Empire of Japan, we have a saying. Drink tea while it's hot.
Sure, a proverb will satisfy the prosecution.
I'm afraid there's no conclusive proof to support the defense's assertion. On the contrary, there are sufficient grounds to infer his guilt in this matter. No.
Strike 9? What? Strike 9?
What's that mean? That's the extent of their testimony, is it? If I could voice a personal opinion, Mr. Naruhodo, of course, go ahead. Mr. Natsumi is arguing for his innocence so adamantly and so persistently, yet Inspector Gregson just brushes what he says aside. It's really quite infuriating. I agree. So we need to find an inconsistency in what the inspector is saying, I think. I'm afraid so. As things stand, the jurors are sure to find Mr. Natsumi guilty. As I see it, what we need to focus on is the poison and the tea. Let's listen carefully to the testimony again.
That's how you pronounce the poison? Strychnine? Strychnine? Short I.
I don't know what short I is. Is it like I in pie or I in ick? You said that both teacups were drinking, right?
Doesn't say, though. My tea was completely harmless. Stick with an R. What does that have to do with anything? I just said which I and ick or I and I. What does R have to do with anything? Stick with an R. I'm so confused with your statements, Captain Chips. I and ick. Alright, so strick. Cool. He said that he only drank from 2 teacups. So maybe it's the tea. Or his cup was not drunken.
Objection!
Okay. That statement was contradicted in a number of ways I think you'll find. Captain Chips, prepare the guide just in case. Lock the director's guest left. Can you tell me which statement I need to present a piece of evidence in? Let's do this one step at a time. Because I don't even know what, like, we're proving or what is going on. Should be 5. Alright, how many things do we have? Okay. Is it one of the first 4 or one of the last 4? Is it one of these 4 or one of these 4? I want to narrow down things as much as I possibly can. The last 4, so it's one of these. Alright, maybe the teacups go here?
Objection!
Nope, it's one of the last 3 guys. Yeah, I don't know enough about poison to fully. No. Use your head here. Use my head. Use my empty head. Yeah, no. No, not happening. We're talking about what killed him, or what killed him, rather. Yeah. I know nothing about how poisons work. Maybe the medical report, I guess? Use my head. That's the biggest joke I've heard all year.
Objection!
In the last, like, decade. The argument still stands, you say? I think not, Inspector. We'll hear why it's this now, I guess. Come again? I think you'll find that you've overlooked a very significant chronological inconsistency here. A chrono what? What are you on about? According to this report, the victim must have consumed the poison at around 1:30 in the morning, and yet the defendant, Mr. Natsumi, left the victim's room at 11. Ah. Yes, that's right. There's more than 2 hours of missing time there. In other words, if there was poison in his tea that Mr. Natsumi brought to the victim's room, how could the victim have fallen ill to it 2.5 full hours after the defendant left? Wah! Synchronize. Japanese exchange student knows more English words than studied English. Police inspector. I guess so. Yep. The defense's argument is entirely reasonable. How do you respond, Lord Van Zeeks? It's back! Yay! I mean, it's a flashback, of course it's back. But it's back for this game! Pray forgive the discourtesy of my mind has wandered. Yeah, that's me every second of my life. I was considering what cuisine would best complement the contents of my hallowed chalice this luncheon. How could it have happened, you ask? And there it goes. I do hate to shatter illusions, but my Nipponese friend appears to be chasing a phantom idea. A phantom? Is it so hard to imagine that the victim drank his tea after the accused had left? For example, at the time stated in the medical report, yes, at around 1:30. Mr. Natsumi brought the tea with him to drink together with his neighbor, and in Japan there is a well-known saying, drink tea while it's hot.
Objection!
And in my country, there is an even more apt saying. There is nothing more refreshing than cold tea.
The point is, if there was such a long gap, there may be other ways to explain how the victim came to be poisoned.
Other possibilities.
It's going to be interesting. It is. What sort of possibilities, Counsel?
Well, for example, the man could have had another visitor.
Another visitor?
That's a very bold assertion, my learned friend, from someone who has nothing to substantiate it. Or the victim could have taken the poison of his own volition.
You suggest that this may have been a suicide, Counsel?
Objection!
Mr. Shamspeare had categorically denied suicide. The idea can and must be discounted.
Objection!
But he could be lying.
Uh-oh. Is something wrong, Lord Van Zeeks?
I was listening to the sound of the carriage pulling up outside the courtroom. Pray forgive the discourtesy. Carriage? What carriage? It would seem that the key player in this case has just arrived.
Oh boy. Who is it?
Out, out, brief candle, life's but a walking shadow. A poor player that struts and frets his hour upon the stage, and then is heard no more. It is a tale told by an idiot full of sound and fury, signifying nothing.
Who, sir, are you?
William Shamspeare, my lord. Alas, 'twas I, undone by these bitter events. I am the victim.
What?
What's he doing here?
Yep. Like mega more interesting now. The prosecution seeks to call this gentleman to the stand. With his testimony, my learned friend's futile resistance will be utterly crushed.
You're calling him as a witness?
Very well, counsel. I grant you your request with interest. I'm curious to discover what the court shall hear from the victim himself.
Happy am I, Shamspeare, to regale thee with my tale of woe, my lord. But, I still have my own tale to tell. My own tale of worse woe. I can regale the court with the tale of my perfect innocence, in perfect English.
That will do, Mr. Natsumi. Let the court now hear from the victim. Who's this guy?
Alright, so that's Mr. Shamspeare, but who's that other man beside him? Yes, I feel sure we've caught a glimpse of him, that man, before.
State your names and occupations for the court, please, witnesses.
A writer of words so sweet they do scent the breeze, an inventor of ideas so profound they compose the earth, the unrivaled poet, the unmatched scribe, William Shakespeare, were the great bard to be recoiled to life anew. Lo, what a magnificent man! Good fellows, I am he who ponders such a miracle, William Shamspeare.
Oh, the name's Meterman. Adron B. Meterman. I work for the Almont Gas Company, East End branch office.
Ah, I remember now. It was yesterday on Briar Road. Oh yes, she's right. It's him. Oh, what's this? What's that man doing over there? Looks like he's trying to see into Soseki-san's lodgings. Is something wrong, Mr. Naruhodo? Excuse me, can we have a word?
Ah. Is everyone gonna do a JoJo pose now? Yes, we spotted him outside Mr. Garadeb's house that morning. And he has a gas company, and he's a gas company employee? What does he have to do with this case? So, Mr. William Shamspear, you are the victim in this miserable affair, correct?
Oh heaven, oh hell, do you command me to remember?
I think with this, guys, I'm looking at the time.
I'm gonna call it right here.
Next time we play this, guys, it's gonna get strange. Really, really strange. But hey, thanks for stopping by. Hope you had a good time. And we'll see you all tomorrow for
The last of the Castlevanias, for sure this
time. And hope your May the 4th was good. May the court forces be with you all.
See you next time. Bye-bye.